Okey-dokey, I'm guessing looks like we're live. Okay, good. So let's call the workshop to order. We're all here and let's do the pledge and then we'll bail right in. Oh, lovely, thank you. Okay, here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so, all right, so it looks like on the agenda, we do have public comment on here, and we have 3 people who would like to speak. So we're going to start with Diana Waters. Morning, Diana.
Hi, Diana. Here I am again.
Hi.
I'm going to be very brief and very picky. I forgot my hearing aids, so after I make my little statement, I will be leaving, hopefully to see if I can find my hearing aids. I am very disappointed with the detail with Juniper, and I know it's a huge project, and I understand it's gigantic, but there's little detail that they have disappointed me. I mentioned before about the pansies. I've been deadheading them in all the pots in front of here and in front of them, and they're doing fine. My big disappointment today is that they mulched that middle island that everybody's been complaining about, not having something in the middle. The mulch cleaned it up beautifully and it looks so much better, but they didn't weed a thing. There's weeds in every mulch thing. There's something growing up around the trees. And I'm not so sure it's the workers. Maybe it's the supervisors who look at the job afterwards. I mean, here it is all cleaned up and I don't mean weeds in the grass. That's one thing, they're there too. But weeds in the mulched area, it tells me that the people weren't trained right, the workers or something. But, oh boy, it looks great and now it doesn't look great. So I'm sorry. I know it's a picky little thing, but it drives me crazy every time I drive in here now.
Don't pull over and weed.
Yeah, right. No, I'm not going to do that. Thank you.
Speaking of which,
This is the one issue.
Oh, another thing?
Somebody's acted deadheading.
Another thing is where they did the cul-de-sacs, a lot of the plants were not planted deep enough and they've died.
And they're also getting
So I
eaten by
think
animals.
I think it's a detailed training
Yeah.
that some of the workers need.
Thank
you, everybody.
I will follow up on the cul-de-sacs, but that's the one issue with having a separate company do the mulch. They're not responsible for that. Correct. And so what
Oh, it's a
happens?
different company
It's a
doing the
different
mulch?
company because we get such a good price on the mulch. So now what we need to do is go back to Juniper and go fix it. Pull the weeds up that the mulch
That's probably
was
what
laid over.
happened.
But
That
I know,
makes me
I saw
feel
the same
better.
thing when I got back. I was like, well, that's not.
It's like this.
Well, I think.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Before leaving. Well, there shouldn't be any weeds to begin with, so it's not like to go back and see. It should be something that we're paying them for to do alone.
Yeah. All right, so next up is Darlene.
Yeah,
Oh, she's not last.
I am last. I think I'm
No,
last.
you're not.
Oh, I'm not last, oh, good. I would like to just piggyback onto what she said as far as the cul-de-sacs are concerned. As far as I'm concerned, it's a total disaster. The plants that were chosen, the size of the plants, what you took out versus what you put in, and the way they did the mulching was a disaster. Now, you know Tim, he's not gonna leave stuff looking terrible on our streets, so he has gone and swept up the mulch that was all over the street and done a few things, but I will tell you that if we paid for that, we need to have them pay us back, because that is not a job that was well done. They actually mulched over plants. They just mulched over everything. It's just absolutely ridiculous. The other thing I'd like to talk about is something that we talked about in the social committee meeting several times, and that is the hours of service that we have in this club. I think we have to remember that we're running a business, and the business is to be profitable to a degree and do something to make money. But we are open at times that there's nobody here, and we have 4 people standing around doing nothing. And I don't see any of those people pitching in and helping out at the places that are really busy, such as it doesn't happen, Jill, you can shake your head, but I've seen four people standing inside and having to have the kitchen staff run food because there's nobody to help them. It's not right. There's gotta be more teamwork here. There's gotta be a better use of staff, and I don't know what the philosophy is anymore with Hampton, but I don't feel that Greg's getting the support he's getting that he should get from Hampton. I'm really sorry. I mean, I can't blame it all on him because if this is their philosophy, it's not a philosophy that is good for us. So, thank you.
Right, and Linda, you signed up?
I did,
Okay.
I did. Good morning. I just want to thank you all for all your service, number one. 2.5 years we've been working on the La Sala group, trying to gather information that is appropriate for our community and looking around at all the hours that have been put into it and appreciating your support and getting us forward. I this weekend heard somebody was talking about how awful we were as a La Sala group and how we weren't listening to the community. And it made me very unhappy. We should be buying another building instead of spending money. The rumors are already out there. And I appreciate what you have given us the opportunity to do with our focus groups and meeting with a lot of other people all over the community. And I wanted to just continue to go forward and not listen to some of these small-minded people who always have, I'm sorry, but always have to look at what's wrong rather than what's right. And I do appreciate all of the hours that you guys have put in, but you realize that we've put in 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
And we would like somehow or another to get across that this community is a wonderful community, but we don't want to stay stale and we don't want to go behind everybody else that's building behind us. So we have stages and things that are really well thought through, and I'm hoping that you will continue to support us, and that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your support.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. So, all righty, thank you very much, Linda. So that's public comment. So with that, we've got a number of things there were 4 on the agenda. Staffing, La Sala, this email, and then the financials. There were a number of other small things, and then maybe a larger thing that you wanted to do. Landscape, Cheryl. If it's okay with you, what I'd like to do, because we have 3 people from La Sala here, is if we could do 4B, which is the discussion on La Sala work group and potential next steps now while they're here, so we can let them go. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah, good, okay. So I don't want to talk a lot. I really want to hear from you guys. I think there are 3 things I wanted to just throw out there for you to think about, and then I want to hear from you guys on this. I think we need to talk a bit about what's next with numbers. I want you to know that there's another cost estimate that's coming from Hampton's contractor, Bob and Nancy, and I don't remember whether you were part of that group, Greg, I think, and Jamie. So we expect that probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And we also need to think about what goes into the budget for next year. So that's number 1 on the general numbers. Number 2, I wanted to get a sense from Ken on any discussions that have been happening within the Reserve Study Committee on potential options, how that would work, and also the reserves contribution. And then maybe most importantly, to Linda's point, talk about communications, because the work group offered to try to gather any incoming questions and comments to try to help consolidate what we're hearing in the community and then allow us to form a better communication plan. So with that, I'm gonna zip it and let you guys, if you'd like to, weigh in on.
I'll weigh in. I did respond initially to a couple of those emails and trying to explain a little bit of the process, and I said, I'm not gonna get into a back and forth. on this with somebody who clearly was not aware of all that had taken place, all the background that had taken place. So while nothing's a given at this point, a lot of work has been done. There's more work to be done. How it's going to be funded is yet to be determined and discussed. There's been no discussion about an assessment. People should understand that. I think we're at a point where we do need to communicate something more broadly before these kinds of conversations take place out there among people who really have no background. At the same time, you're always going to get that minority, whether it's 20%, 30%, of people who hear things and automatically assume we're going to spend $1.8 million or there's going to be no input from the community, which is ridiculous because we always get input from the community. But they're going to be out there. So we probably should talk about putting something out that just gives, in not too many words, some background and where we are and where we're going with this project. Try to at least inform people. Your question about the Reserve Committee has not formally discussed funding this project yet. It's actually too early. We do want to get refined estimates. I did, just so you're aware, and I didn't send it to I don't think I sent it to all of you. I sent to Nancy and Bob an updated funding potential from existing reserves based on the latest, even though we haven't finalized it, the latest reserve study, which shows in the time frame we're talking about a little over $600,000 of identified reserves for things that this project touches upon that we wouldn't be doing otherwise.
Is that dollar value in the full year, the fully funded number, or is that discounted back to today?
It's in the fully funded,
Okay.
inflation adjusted
Got it,
number that the
okay.
reserve shows.
Okay, great.
But I didn't, it's not like I went out 10 years because that's just
No.
too far forward.
Yeah.
But I took, assuming the project were to go forward over the next couple of years, how it would impact the next 3 to 5 years beyond that. So you're looking at a 7 or 8 year period from today.
Okay.
But yes, at then dollars, and again, we don't know what then dollars are going to be.
Right.
So that brings the funding number down to somewhere in the 1.2 million range, call it.
Sure.
There are different ways of funding, we'll talk more about it.
Yes.
I did talk to Andy a little bit about the likelihood of an external loan, given our current loan situation and bond situation. And he felt it was probably unlikely, not that we couldn't, but unlikely or expensive to try to fund it through an external source.
Did you talk to Dana?
No, why would I talk to Dane?
Because they may have an outlet, because they're dealing with governments.
They're an investment group. I don't think they place municipal bonds. Could be wrong, but no, I didn't talk to Dana.
Okay.
I just talked to Andy, who's familiar with the terms of our existing loan.
Sure.
So
Is
when you say external funding, are you specifically?
Through a bank or?
Through a bank, not necessarily a government bond?
Oh, yeah, because we're through banks now.
Right, we refinance.
We refinance, so
Right.
everything we have is already through banks.
Gotcha, okay.
So we've got, a pretty big balance yet.
Sure,
on
yeah.
that.
So
Understood,
to increase the long-term loans we already have, Andy thinks would be too expensive.
And not easy to do.
Okay,
He didn't rule it out. He
Okay.
just said,
Might be worthy of a conversation with the bank.
no
Uh,
question.
yeah.
Again, we haven't done anything with any of this.
But those funds.
Yeah.
Those refinanced, those bonds were refinanced, what,
2022.
20, so 4 or 5 years of,
33 and 43, there we are.
I'm saying, so a lot of, so a lot of the principal's been paid down, so why should we should
So you're
theoretically,
thinking we should have equity?
there should be.
Rich, I'm not ruling it out,
Yeah.
he's just
Yeah.
saying because of the terms of those loans.
Because in my mind, I think that's one of the biggest stumbling blocks to getting this thing, is figuring out how to roll this thing out.
Yeah.
Over years and pay as you go kind of thing.
Well,
versus a
another-
one-time assessment.
Another option is to do something like what we did the last time and basically borrow from the general reserve and pay that back over 5-7 years to spread the cost of it out going forward.
Okay,
So that's another option to consider. Hasn't been discussed, hasn't been talked to with anybody, but we did it, the last time we remodeled everything in here, and that worked pretty well.
Yeah, because I think,
So it
yeah,
does spread the cost out.
because I think that would definitely make any decisions a lot more palatable to anybody.
I agree.
If it was $100 or $200 a year and you live here for 6 years and utilize it, it's not that, it's not terrible. But if you spend $1,300 the first year and then you're moving out in a year,
Well, and
you paid for it all and you don't get to use it, or somebody buys in next year, didn't pay for it, and now gets the benefit of it all.
Well,
yeah,
and
but
I-
then the other, I'm
No,
sorry.
you go.
The other thing is that there are gonna be people in this community that make an investment that will never see the opportunity because it's gonna be under construction where that investment is made. And that becomes even less palatable for the community in my
Yeah,
mind.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
and I think when we communicate, to your point, we have to do our best to convey that we're aware of that.
Yes.
Sure.
And, yeah,
Well,
okay.
even the suggestion, people always have the option to pay it off, but that,
Sure.
then
Yes.
you sink your cost immediately.
Correct.
rather than- But the other thing is, I asked Ken if this is, I trued it up based
Oh,
on
I
what
was gonna
we were told about the painting.
Oh,
And
sure.
so there's actually 271, and I will tell you that the 334 I have in there, the front entrance and the River Club, we got an estimate on the work that's proposed right now at 140. I think this is conservative.
Okay.
So I'm thinking we have between $250,000 and $300,000 that we can push into reserves.
That makes it even more palatable.
It'd be more palatable. But the other thing I would say is that I think if we put out a communication, we are gonna have to address the elephant, which is the Welcome Center. Because the Welcome Center, in my humble opinion, would cost us more than this renovation.
100%.
And I
Oh,
think
God,
we
yeah.
need to be able to say that to people, because I keep getting people going, just buy the Welcome Center. Well, first of all, there's two parties there.
Yeah.
You can't just buy the Welcome Center. And second, the work that would be needed in
Oh,
there.
It's more than the cost.
But even if we put the Welcome Center, which, I mean, I'm a proponent to doing something with the Welcome Center, but to make that the new LaSalle part,
Absolutely not.
it doesn't make any sense, because there's no facilities over there, and you've not got staff there, staff here, staff at the tiki bar.
It's
You're
not.
gonna have the staff,
I just think we have to
the
address
ability
it.
to, or inability to staff and run that thing properly would be ridiculous.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And
And I just think people who are not, they haven't been at the meetings, they haven't listened to the meetings, they don't understand how much has been done with that, just don't understand why we don't just do that.
Yeah.
And I think we have to at least put something in there about, it doesn't make sense.
And I responded back to some of those emails too, and of course,
Yeah.
there's,
Uh-huh.
no matter what you say, there's never the last word, and there's always, and then, well, you've got to get approval from the committee before you do anything, and basically, I said, well, when the tennis courts are up for renovation, and it's gonna cost $500,000 or $1 million to redo this whole thing, should I bring that up to the community, being that there are only 200 people out there that play tennis, and there are 2,000 that don't? He goes, well, that's maintenance. I said, well, let's not start getting into, well, I don't think those 2,000 people would think that way. So we as a board have been elected, we have to start making decisions, and not everything is gonna be, where do you draw the line as to when you talk to groups or not? But yeah, this is
you do
something
raise
we
an
need to-
interesting point, because, and I think Cheryl, maybe between you and Rich, you had both mentioned, there are other things that are bigger ticket items that, are in our radar range, and, will need to be part of the broader discussion, whether it's the locker rooms or the tennis courts and the geothermals or whatever else that we think needs to be done with the building. But I think I take Linda's point, maybe I'm a little too close to the project, but, this has been LaSalle's been going on for a while, and I think it's important that we continue to, move it down the field.
And I went back this morning and looked at the emails that the LaSalle group sent out, or somebody sent out as LaSalle, asking for people to come contribute,
Yes.
ask for input.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, you've had 2.5 years to have input.
Yes,
And
yes.
if you didn't like the idea,
Uh-huh.
why didn't you say something for the last 2.5 years? Now that all the work has been done, now all of a sudden you have, did you think it was gonna be free? No. Did you think it was gonna be, and if you wanted your opinion heard and you had ample opportunity, not to say that we're not gonna continue to ask for input as we go forward to spend whatever it is we potentially might spend.
I don't think these people even knew that was going on.
I
I think
100%
that's
agree.
right.
I think
I
this
agree.
was an armchair quarterback situation with the emails that I saw, and quite honestly, I didn't respond to any of them simply because of that.
Yeah,
I'm like, there
everybody
was
doesn't need to.
2.5 years, there was ample opportunity to come forward with your concerns and your issues and everything else. And while I appreciate the comments, I think that's where it stops for me.
Well, what I suggest is
That's all I'm saying.
and then I want to hear from, we're continuing through, I guess, but I'll put something together, because I think I'm coming back to what, the committee who's been amazing on this
Yes.
keeps coming back to is, first and foremost, it is what people want. I mean, it was what we heard was overwhelming and common in what we heard. But as importantly, we have to keep up as a community. We are behind.
Yes.
In terms of keeping our facilities up. Is this ragtag in here? No, it's not. But it's not what people are expecting when they're coming into, an upper tier community, which I think is, at least in my opinion, what we have here. And maybe I'll just echo what Jamie Selby said to me when he came for his reconnoiter last year. He looked around, he looked out the window of the LaSalle toward the portico and the lap pool and the pools. He said, they don't build them like this anymore.
Yeah.
I said, no, they don't. So I think we can convey those concepts. I'm sure the committee will help me work on a draft.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, I think the area of focus should be here at the River Club and upgrading and doing what we need to do to make this an exceptional place to be.
yeah. So maybe two final quick thoughts, and then we can, move on. And then I also want to say, if there are any questions, either now or, before the next meeting, the committee can, I'm sure, handle it for you. But as a group, the committee, we got together and talked about how I don't want to say reactive, but the committee has offered to be the collector of any input, maybe start an FAQ that could potentially be part of a communication. Are you, so if we get further emails, I'm going to send what I've gotten from what we were just discussing to them to make sure they have it. But if you're hearing other things, if you could email one of them, just so the committee can start to put together.
Yeah, I think as long as the committee shouldn't respond individually to
No,
them, because
I
that
agree.
would be, I mean, my responses have been very bland,
Yeah,
I appreciate your email, and I'm sure there's gonna be so much discussion before any
Right.
decisions are made. Stay tuned.
right.
And which is true,
Yeah.
right?
It is
I mean,
very true, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I try to provide some information to say that, explain why, and then of course there's always feedback.
And see, that's,
Yeah.
That's what I
yes.
Well, and that gets
That's
one
what-
copy to
And
about
you
40
just
people.
can't,
Right.
some people
And
you
it's
just
blind
can't.
copy to 40 people.
Yeah.
That's the
You may not
idea.
know
And
that.
you
Yeah.
can't- Well, I know that, and you just can't stop it, and which is why I stopped responding.
And that's why I never
I-
started responding.
Well,
Sorry.
I usually don't respond to that for that person, for the very reason, but I figured, you know what, this is important enough, I said, let me try to address it, and explain.
Sure.
And then, there's always pushback, you know what?
Sure.
You want pushback?
Yeah.
Come to a meeting, get involved,
Yeah,
do something.
yeah.
You know, you had 2.5
You wouldn't
years.
believe how many people I've said to on the phone, and I've explained everything, and then I've said, you know, we have a vacancy on landscape committee, I'd love to have you. Gotta go.
That shuts everything off.
Yeah.
I know, but yeah,
Yeah,
so,
so it's like, I was trying to do it, but, you know, just,
Yeah,
and then it's a 4-page email.
Yep.
It's like,
which is what
Exactly.
I think is, yeah, I think I think an initial email
okay.
about what's going on would be
Sure.
great
Uh-huh.
with facts, and then maybe on a monthly basis,
Hmm.
we can have some additional information where you just respond to some of the stuff we send you about the questions that are coming in.
Yeah.
I think that
I
would be,
don't know if you would, because if you start.
not them responding, but us.
No, but
Yeah.
if we start responding to everything comes up, you.
Well, but I
I'm
think
not
we-
talking, no, I'm not talking about individual responses, Rich, I'm talking about overall responses, like, okay, we're getting a ton of stuff about it, we don't wanna,
Mhm.
so sort of a status that kind of
Okay,
encompasses.
all right, I
As it
mean,
reaches
no,
a tipping point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I get the point.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if you start
It's not
responding.
gonna be detailed responses, it'll be more like mine.
Okay,
And I think part of what it does is I think it's a communications term, it inoculates us,
Yeah.
you know, from vast criticism about lack of transparency or anything else. So we'll put that together. I did want to say, and I agree with you that I think Ken said, a lot of people don't know about this. The group has discussed, we'd like to send out to the people who participated in the original 50-person survey and also the 100 or 120 who participated in the focus groups to say, just so you know, this was sent out to the community, it's out there, because at least it helps raise awareness, that of the material that is out there. I think that'll help. And then maybe just the final thing is that once we get to the budget discussion, the workshop that I think you all saw in there, that we'll want to discuss the $75,000 plug, however we put that in the budget, maybe the way we did it for the Tiki Bar. And for the pickleball courts is a way to do it. We start with a line, the 75,000, which would be for the drawings, the 2 sets of drawings, so. Is there anything, I don't know, I'm gonna ask you, is there anything I missed that you would want to, Bob's thinking about it.
No, I'd only echo what Jill said. We can gather things from each of you. And, should you want to think about responding, we would never think of responding to anything. We can even provide you with information if you ask. Can you provide something on that? We could send that back to you so you could respond if you wanted to. But by sending it to us, we can accumulate that and effectively share it in a general way with each of you so you understand what the overall feedback is coming back. So that may be very helpful.
Yeah.
And as Jill has said, by corresponding with the 150 that helped us initially, one will show them that we appreciated their input. These are the people who did stand up, did come forward, did communicate. That will show them, and in general, all but, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2, Linda would know better, but I think all of that 150 are big supporters of something. This, we think, really reflects what they said. So there's a start, as to building the kind of community support that we've seen in other communities. Every community that we've looked at, that I'm aware of, has had general communications, very specific to residents, not hidden, not to say hidden, but not in just the general notes of a overall meeting,
Right.
but a very direct communication about a large project.
And then it's also those, I think, Bob, and it's because I'm really glad you brought that up, because they've done a lot of sleuthing on, other communities' work, and it's also helped address when there were particular questions about, well, why didn't you do this, or why do you want to do it that way? So there is a lot of material out there from other projects that I think can help us do a better job of communicating.
And all these communications ultimately would come out of the board. But just gathered by the group.
Right.
And to continue the research and detailing that you've gotten so far.
Cool, good. Anybody else? Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks, good, okay. I will put a draft together and then get it to you before the next board meeting then. Okey dokey. Thank you.
Also remind people we are a lifestyle community,
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
unlike a lot of the other communities
Yes.
around us.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we are. Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because that 2-page brochure, if you looked at it, that's the headline. Lifestyle.
Strategic plan?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yeah, but all hangs together. Cool. Thank you. All righty. So that's LaSalle for now. Excellent. In the top. Okay. So, do we want to jump into staffing now? Might as well, right? That was the first thing on the agenda, or do you want to save that for last? But I think we should go according to the agenda if we can. So,
I was gonna say, if you wanna get to your other point, staffing will probably go on for a period of time, but we can certainly do it now, it's up to you.
I think it's so important, we need to get them now, and we'll shoehorn in whatever else we can do.
Before we get into that,
Yeah.
we were supposed to have the meeting with Hampton,
The 6
the
months.
6-month
The 6-month
review.
review.
Yes.
Before the staffing conversation, before budget, it was supposed to be done in April. What happened?
Well, you may or may not recall, Jamie and I had run into a problem with his schedule.
Well, there's
So-
also Bill and other people involved, but now we're going into these conversations without a Hampton review, without budget, into budgets, without any discussion of where we are. In a general, in the 30,000 foot view, but now we're talking about individual hours. I mean, I think, I'm very upset that this was
Okay.
disregarded. We all agreed that we were gonna have that because we felt it was important for budget. We felt it was important for the process and to see where we're at so we can make decisions.
Yeah,
Because budgets and hours, budgets, it's all,
well, you can
Have that, and
you
we-
can put that on me, because, when I had talked to Jamie about his schedule for April, there were a couple of major conflicts, because he's got some capital stuff going on, project stuff going on up there.
well, he was here,
So-
but he was here for a day.
Yeah, but he was here, that was a whole, that was an internal thing, so, let's,
Yeah, I'm just, like I said, I'm just.
okay, fair enough, yeah, I
Well,
accept
can we
that.
get it scheduled?
I thought
we were
The
gonna
final
schedule
budget,
it, yeah.
the trim budget is still,
Right.
We
Oh,
can
yeah,
have
we
a
can.
schedule for May.
We were,
And I think Bill, I just don't want just Jimmy, I want Bill here. I would like Bill here as well. I think it's important that management is here, not just Jamie.
okay, well, we can sure ask, I mean, he's operations, I think, my suggestion is, why don't we get started with what Greg has, because I know he's been working
Yeah,
on some
right.
stuff, and then we'll figure out how we handle it, so.
Well, it kind of leads perfectly what I want to talk about today is, and what Rich kind of prefaced there, and before we get too granular with anything, I think the overview, and I've got some data and information dating back to 2024, which I think is invaluable for everybody to have a perspective that is reflected in the data. And I feel your pain, Rich, when you're talking about people questioning LaSalle and asking a handful of questions, and then you respond with the answers, and then it goes down the rabbit hole of a bunch of other questions and answers. And one thing I want you as a board and a community to really look at, and I've heard it even in today's meeting about the River Club operations being a business. And it might look like a restaurant, and it might look like a business, but it's not. It's not either. It's a valuable amenity. These numbers are reflected back to 2024.
Hey, Greg,
Yes, sir.
I have also mentioned this in previous meetings. Can we get these things in advance so we have time to analyze information? So
Well,
it's,
Some of these things, yes, some of these things, not really, because I don't really want this going out to the community in an email format. And also, let me just finish.
But once I have it now, anybody can request.
Well,
it.
they can, but I'm talking about mass emails and if anybody wants to see that. But here's the thing, Rich, this is a really easy chart to look at.
I know.
This is more of a conversation. I could have had this conversation without this chart. I'm using this chart as a visual aid.
I'm just saying in general, Greg, because you don't want it to go out as an email, but I have, you're asking us to do oversight. And oversight means understanding and not just sitting here and saying, okay, I'm gonna now decide to affect the budget by looking at a piece of paper for, in 5 minutes. I think we should start getting these things in advance.
Rich, you're doing exactly what you just talked about with the LaSalle people. I want you to hear what just please let me finish my thought. What I want is that this is a high level perspective of what I hear often in the board meetings, often in the club and operations is it's a business, it's a revenue source. It's all of these different things. I don't want to get into anything granular with the budget, with the line items, with margins. I just want, this is an overview perspective really for the board. Anybody who wants to see it is welcome to have this information. It's publicly broadcast and it's available.
Is this off the
Is this
financials? I'm sorry, is this off the financials or is this off the Jonas?
A combination of both.
It's gotta be both, because Jonas doesn't hold the expense for labor.
It's a combination of
Right.
both.
Okay,
So
then,
but here's the,
So what is,
Why don't we just let him?
yeah, why don't you
Yes.
just present?
No,
thank you.
Present.
I'm
And I
trying.
because my question is,
We're never gonna
Jo-
get through.
no, because I found out that Jonas and if you're looking at Vesta's financials, Vesta was not using the month
Right,
for
they
the,
were using 445.
Rich,
yeah.
the next handout
I'm
that
sorry,
I have.
544.
Sorry, it's 5.
It is, was 544, okay.
You accountants.
So I have one question, just hold your thought. When you say total labor, is that food and beverage, or is that the entire house?
The entire house.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So to answer Rich's question that jumped ahead in talking about the discrepancy and variance between the financial reporting and what's listed on Jonas, I have 2 more documents that I'm going to pass out to you that show some of the variances between financial and what's reported on Jonas, only drilling down on the month of March. But I want to, just as a general overview, because if we go into a budget discussion, not having this kind of complicated, somewhat confusing, but very basic concept about clubs and amenities. Because there's one attribute to this chart that if it doesn't stick out to you right in the beginning, in a minute when I say it, I think it will. But when you look at revenue versus labor, this goes back to what I was saying on, I think, my very first board meeting. Controlling the net operating income and the gross profits and how much you can reinvest into the club every year really is how much you have left in the bucket at the end of the year, right? So that is, to me, the one number on all the financials that matters the most is that bottom right number at the end of the year. What did you make? What was your gross margin? What was your net margin? What did you spend to get to it? And at the end of the year, how much do you have left in your bucket? The decisions that affect that budget or that bucket, the net operating income at the end of the year, are 98% strategic decisions. And when I say strategic decisions, I mean not you raise the price of a cheeseburger by $1 or you put an extra server on to sell an extra $100 to make an extra $40 in revenue and profit. It's all about choices and decisions on what we spend on labor and hours of operation. It's so much more impactful. Here's the part of this graph that sticks out to me when I see it. When I look at, even though labor outruns revenue every month, there's one thing I intentionally didn't put on here when it comes to revenue. What's the first thing you got to do with your revenue? Cut it in half. Your cost to have the revenue is half. So as skewed as this chart looks right now with labor versus revenue, it's worse. It's worse than that.
That's just.
You cut the revenue in half just to cover the cost, not talking about PTE&B and all the other incidentals,
Right.
the utilities, the oil, all the other things. I'm only talking about 50% basically on the cost. So that skews this even more. So trying to make up the net operating income by manipulating or focusing on or targeting the margins of revenue is an exercise in futility. It really is. I mean, the cliche or the analogy, the more you sell, the more you lose. That's
There it
exactly what
is.
this is.
That's it.
Now, I'm not minimizing the importance of the amenity and the service and the convenience and the familiarity and the consistency and all the quality that's involved with an operation, that is what is the reason for subsidizing with the amenity. That is the reason for the contribution on the month. It's not to drive revenue, drive profit, and focusing the valuable time that you all donate on those incidentals, which I don't say that lightly. I take the operations and the revenue and the profit margins and the cost of goods, I take all that very seriously. But it has such an incremental and insignificant effect on the NOI. That's the only reason I wanted to show you this chart. And this goes back to not just Hampton's 6 months, this is from 2024. And I gotta tell you, it's very consistent with the club industry. Especially, here's the irony in this, the lower in the club, the less the subsidy. The lower in the club, the less the loss.
Right.
The higher in
Yes.
the club, the higher the subsidy and more of a contribution, but that also encourages participation, waiting lists, initiation fees, dues, monthly increases, or annual increases to contributions. That's really the nut that I think we should focus on. If we look at a very generous contribution that comes in every month on the financials, call it 150,000, from the contribution from the residents, you know how much revenue we would have to generate to produce 150,000? No, like,
6.
like 1.5
Yeah.
million
Yeah.
a month to generate that same NOI that's from the contribution. That contribution is what I want to focus on, or I think we should focus on, and not driving revenue or profits based on sales or things like that. It's providing a sound amenity that's consistent in quality, knowing going into it that in a village of 1,300, we're not going to have a profitable business ever.
No.
Ever.
But nobody's suggesting that.
Just
Nobody's
less than an
suggesting
hour
that,
ago,
yeah.
yes, people think it's a business or a restaurant. It's just
There's
not.
no, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with talking about it as a business. It's collectively, I understand the amenity concept, but there are a lot of not-for-profit businesses that even though they're not-for-profit, they still have to operate in some sort of a business sense. We have goals, we have budgets, we have
100%,
targets.
yep.
So I've always said to you, you manage that holistically. I agree, you don't necessarily need to focus on one element of it, but collectively, you have to look at it holistically to say, this is our revenue stream, this is our cost stream, this is the aging of our facilities. They're all factors that have to be considered, just like you would in any business. It doesn't mean you're running the business for profit, because absolutely we're not.
I agree with everything you just said.
That's all,
Yeah.
when I talk to you,
Yes.
that's the context I talk in.
So, Ken, please don't hear that this is
No, no,
me
no, no.
saying you, because we have very
We've
productive conversations.
All I'm
about
saying
this.
is when people talk about running it as a business, I think that all they're saying is you have to have certain disciplines in place to run and function.
I hope you don't hear me
Towards-
saying anything other
towards-
than that.
I don't think you are, but at the same time, I don't want to minimize, while just as I don't want to focus on one element, whether it's revenue or labor or overhead, they are factors in how we operate holistically to get to where we want to be.
Agreed, and that's why I think focusing on the strategic choices that are made. And I'll give you an example. Over the last couple of years, the strategic choices that have been made have been to expand hours of operation, expand days that we're open, expand services, and just let me finish. Expand those things, and then not really wrap our heads around how much of an incremental increase and how thinly it spreads those other things, when we should be focusing dearly on not just the operations of the day-to-day service levels and what's available and how people, who supervises and how people are trained, but also the investment in this facility and building
Sure.
that has not always been accounted for. And I think some of those incremental revenues and reserves have been eaten up by expansion of hours, days, and services. That's all I'm saying. And if we as a board can focus on if Jill and I just had a discussion about this the other day. If we just, before we did anything, said, let's fix everything that is past its shelf life, broken and not working, we're spending an exorbitant amount of money every month on repairs and maintenance to continue to put Band-Aids on high ticket dollar things. How much is that number? I mean, and I'm not talking about aspirational things. Hey, let's put in new high impact glass on the back. I'm saying things that are either breaking down weekly or monthly and past their shelf life. What do you think that dollar value is?
And I think we've supported that, particularly in this last go around with reserves. Funding, replacing all the kitchen equipment, funding the roof, funding geothermal, funding, you name it.
You're addressing it, and you're very actively
We're
addressing
attempting
it.
to address it.
Right.
One example of what you were alluding to is when the finance committee talked about opening the tiki bar Mondays and Tuesdays for beverage only, only during season, we caveated that with only if you can do it at cost neutrality. Once you got to the point in the season where it was no longer cost neutral, you shut it down. That was the whole caveat behind that. That's running a business.
And you don't hear me I think that
No,
the
it's
tiki
just an
bar.
example.
No, I don't, first off, let me say this. I don't
Wait,
want this to
wait,
be an adversarial conversation.
No, it's not.
But Monday and Tuesday, I agree with financially and business-wise and amenity-wise, it makes perfect sense to have only alcohol served on Mondays and Tuesdays. It's been a nice amenity for the residents.
Right.
It's been a break-even, we're not making money, but it's a break-even proposition.
Right.
I don't think
Well,
that-
and let me
But that's
jump,
not what I'm talking
I
about.
just wanted to jump in on here too, because I think what I've heard from people saying, well, if you're open for alcohol, you may as well just be open for food. And I
No,
think,
big difference.
well, there is a big difference, but I think this is where, at least my opinion as a board, we have to decide what we should be expecting on this. And
But when somebody says that to you, it's a simple response.
Simple, yeah, that's an easy
sure,
answer.
it absolutely is a simple response, but,
But it also goes back to what kind of experience do you want to have here at the River Club? Do you want to have that, high-end, super fabulous Class A experience 7 days a week? So you're going to have food and beverage for, the 12 people that want it on Mondays and Tuesdays at the expense of all the other people? Or are we saying that just doesn't financially make sense, we're closing it down? It's just a matter, I think, of what we want. My opinion is, for the dozen people that are out there on Mondays and Tuesdays, the beverage service is fine. I think it's a waste of money to have the food service on Monday and Tuesdays. But
We've all said that.
but we've all said that, but there are people out there that want this super high-end experience here at the River Club, and we can't ask all of our residents to pay for
No,
that.
and there has
We
been,
brought in a food truck.
but there's, as you know, there's been, we've all lived here long enough, although Rich may not have been here when this was the case. We've had a lot of mission creep, now lunch the dining room is open for lunch.
Yeah.
All day, every day, that we're open for food, and that was never the case.
And that's why I created that spreadsheet. I said that to everybody that showed the hours of every day. And if you look at some hours where things are open, like the spreadsheet of the last 3 months, Tiki Bar, it spanned 13 weeks. So at 8 o'clock on certain nights, there were only six entries, which means that on 7 of the nights, nobody was there at 8 o'clock at all. And on the 6 nights
Yeah,
of people were there, it was minimal. So it means half the time people were there, half the time there was nobody there, and when half the time people were there, it was not even worth
Well,
being
and
open.
so
That's
but
how you make
$14.
business decisions.
Right,
Which is-
it is,
we
but
don't
that,
need
in
to
my
go.
opinion, that's great. That's Greg's decision and not us telling
Right.
Greg how to run it. I think we have to be responsible for, setting the expectations per the strategic plan and,
Yeah, so
But
can I
that's what-
interject? I think we're all on the same page.
We
I
are.
would like to hear the rest of your
But-
presentation.
Yes.
But
Because
before,
I would,
Good
no,
idea.
no, I
I just-
really want to hear what you
I
have to say.
do, but I want clarification on something. You said the more we sell, the more we lose.
Yeah.
How is that?
Mhm.
Explain it to me. If I,
1,300 residents.
if I have the same amount of staff selling 10% more than what's here, and that 10% is that 50% cost, I'm pocketing that differential.
I don't mean by having one extra cover coming.
He's
I'm talking about
in
when
general.
you add 30 extra people and you have to have another line cook on the line, or you have to have another food runner because the volume,
Okay,
or you have to add more servers. I'm not talking about if a table of one comes in, you are clearly more profitable if a table of two comes in, because you don't change your labor.
it's like
So
this.
we don't have to get that,
Mhm.
I'm not getting that granular. I'm talking about just to get to the point that you're trying to make. If we aren't open at all at the tiki for food, and it's drinks only, okay? If we sell no food revenue and we sell $100 in alcohol, we're gonna make $60 gross profit. If we decide we're gonna open at the tiki and we sell $100 in food that day, in order to sell that $100 in food for the day,
no,
we're gonna spend about
I get that part.
$300 in labor.
Yeah, we get that.
Well, that's what, I mean,
No, he got that.
thank you.
I perfectly,
That's all I
I
need.
perfectly get that part, but I'm talking about,
He's talking incremental.
I'm talking incremental business of
Oh, yeah,
trying
no,
to maximize,
incremental, for
trying to
sure.
maximize revenue for the staff and people here. And if you're just adding one more staff person to run food at $15 an hour, but that cranks out $1,000 more in revenue, that, to me, that's a good decision.
Yeah, if it did,
Yeah,
but
but
it
it
doesn't.
doesn't, it's not even close. I mean, I hear what you're saying, for
All
sure.
right, so can we hear the
Yeah,
rest
yeah.
of your
I think
presentation?
we're all
I would
the
really like to hear the
Yeah.
whole thing so I can, yes.
Right, thank you. Okay, so this is why I just wanted to have this as a base foundation that we all wrap our heads around and get. Here, to Ken's point, is one of the things that I guess, before I jump into the financial actuals off Jonas versus the financials, because when you look at the financials I ran off Jonas, the revenue for the operation was actually about $3,000 higher in the month of March than it was in fiscal '25. So, and I'll share that with you all in a second.
But that could be the fiscal calendar difference.
Well, I just ran March 1st to March 31st, last year,
Yeah.
and March 1st to March 31st this year.
Okay.
The same days, the same parameters, the same areas, the same everything. You can hold the 2 pages side by side.
It'll be different from the P and L.
Yes,
They will be.
I know. But I just want like to like, apples to apples, numbers versus numbers. Some of the costs that we were talking about, I did a deep dive. I worked with Brian and Luciano and myself going back through 7 shifts scheduling, looking at actual hours, what we spend for the hours. I kind of want you guys to wrap your heads around the difference between if we were not to be open for lunch, and that's basically Wednesday through Saturday, it's 4 days a week. We do Sunday brunch, which the brunch has been very successful versus the à la carte. Requires a little bit less labor. We could do higher volume with less errors and mistakes. A lot of happy people enjoying Sunday brunch. But if the lunch hours of service are taken away and we're open for dinner,
Is that including the tiki bar or just?
well, I've got 2 different scenarios. The first scenario I did is still lunch service at the tiki bar with 2 guys on the line, 1 food runner, and a bartender at the tiki, which is really kind of a minimal staffing number. So it can fluctuate a little bit higher. There is no absolute number that fits every week of every month. It depends on the amount of volume that you do, how much the incremental increases are, and even down to things like what's the weather like and is it a holiday weekend. But it's a ballpark, if you want to know the number, it's about $300 a day, $1,200 a week, $28,000 for the season.
Hang on. This is why I like to have stuff in advance and.
Let him
There isn't
finish
one,
his sentence, Rich.
There isn't one number. Yes,
No.
thank you. I'll finish my sentence.
Okay,
There is-
300 a week,
There's no, it's about $300 a day.
1,200 a week,
But remember,
$20K a season.
20 cases.
hear me when I say this. $300 a day, there's a big plus or minus.
I get that.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not gonna send a number
Okay.
that is not a real number. It's a very close estimate to plus or minus $300 a day.
Now, is this both lunch dining and tiki or just dining? I just want to make sure I'm getting the right numbers.
Just time.
Just dining.
$1,200 a week, 28,000 plus or minus a season. Of course, the shoulder months, I'm calling September and April the shoulder months. They're kind of the halfway between season and off season. Not really even halfway, because summertime it just falls off the cliff.
So you're saying that is incremental revenue
That is labor dollars spent,
later?
labor dollars spent for having lunch service.
Thank you.
Here's the caveat, just like I told you about the blue line that shows the revenue versus labor. What's the caveat of that? A $20,000 spend is actually a $56,000 swing.
Mhm.
So the net effect that we incur every month is, even though it's $28,000 that we spend, now you gotta make that $28,000 back up to get whole again. So the swing on that, the way I always envision it, is it's not missed revenue, it's actually out of your bank account. So the net effect is $56,000. In-season lunch and food at the Tiki, which I will say is a great amenity to have. I know residents and really enjoy it. This is a strategic decision that has to be made. It's an additional, it's about $275 to $300 a day to add lunch service to existing indoor lunch service at the Tiki,
So this is incremental.
incremental, in addition to.
Okay,
The total value of adding lunch to the total labor dollars spent to add lunch to both places hovers between $500 and $600 a
That's
day.
what I wanted to hear.
okay,
A
thank you.
day.
Mhm.
About a little less than half of that is the addition of the Tiki if the lunch is open inside. But here's where it gets complicated. If the lunch is closed inside and it's only open the Tiki, it's closer to half, even maybe a little bit more. Because if you don't have the guys that are already scheduled to do lunch inside, or the food runners or the service staff to do, you know what I'm saying? If you close lunch inside, it's half or more. If you already have lunch inside, it's a less of an incremental increase to add the
Understood.
Tiki
Yeah.
food.
So,
Dishwashers, there's already a dishwasher here. We don't have to add a second dishwasher. But if there's no lunch inside, there's no dishwasher. Does that make sense?
if there's no lunch inside, there's no dishwasher.
And there's
It's
also
all
one or two less guys on the line.
Or one or
If
two
they're
is
only,
inside.
remember, the Tiki menu is different than the inside.
Right. That's,
So, Richie, I know you.
No, I'm
see it.
just,
Yeah, I know.
no, so, okay, so if I say $28,000, that's equivalent to $56,000 of revenue, if, for comparison's sake.
Pause for a second. It's not equivalent to $56,000 of
That's not
revenue.
what he said.
It's not what I said. Don't say that. That's not what I
What did you,
said. The net effect on your bottom line at the end of the year is $56,000 because if you spend the 28, you now have a deficit of 28.
so how much revenue am I giving up to get that? Because obviously the revenue generates some profit. So if I would,
We're going back to what the very initial conversation I had about looking at revenue and not looking at strategy. The revenue differs every day, Rich. There's not one number.
but in season, so if I looked at it holistically in season, if I'm getting rid of Tiki in season,
Nobody's talking about, I'm just giving you.
I'm just saying, but you give me a number to say I can save $28,000 in expenses, but how much revenue am I giving up? Because revenue is generating some profit. So if I say $28,000, but there's $100,000 of revenue in that period coming from those areas, that generates a $50,000. I'm just saying, I don't know, that's why I'm asking the question. So
when
you can't just tell me I'm taking it away and I save it, how much am I giving up by doing that? That's what I don't know.
So given the information that you just gave us, do
So-
you, Do you have a recommendation?
Yeah, thank you,
I would
Cheryl.
like to, yeah,
Yes, I
Continue
do.
your
I'm gonna jump
presentation.
ahead so you can see revenue in different areas for just 1 month. So and the reason that, Rich, I'm not trying to avoid your question, there's a different number every month. There's a different number
Well,
every
you
week.
said, you said.
I'm giving you 1 month.
Season.
I'm
You
giving you
said
1
in
month.
season, so I'm going the
So
January
March is
season.
season. Here's a month, for an example.
Yeah, don't get a chance to review it.
So this is last year.
Last year and this year, side by side.
it's about the same.
Got it.
Is this, is this lunch or total revenue?
Oh,
Greg, is there another one?
there's not. And the handout that I just gave you clearly is printed on 2 pages.
Yes.
To save paper. One is March 25, one is March 26. From the 1st to the 31st,
I'm missing something, because I've got 2 pages that look like this and that's it. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, did you get the wrong copy?
You should have one that says
Yeah.
25 and one that says
It's
26.
Yeah, I
this
got
year
it.
versus last.
Wasn't,
got it.
wasn't there?
I got
No,
a different,
Cindy's got some
There you
different
go. There you
stuff.
go.
Yeah,
She's got special stuff.
Here you
I
go.
got something
yeah, I
different.
don't have.
I didn't
no,
get
There you
it.
go.
I don't have that one.
I didn't get that.
I got this.
You got the right one.
I got the wrong one too.
I got- This is mine's horizontal, this is
Mine's
vertical.
not.
You got the right
I
one.
got the wrong one
I know.
also.
There you go.
That's-
Oh,
Well, you see, if you look back, that's why I did the analysis.
There
If
you
you
go.
look-
Just take those.
So I'm shocked
Yeah.
that the tiki revenue was much higher last year than this year.
Yeah, Tiki's down.
Explain all
That's
that?
what he's saying. And LaSalle is down also. Food is down, whose is up?
LaSalle is up.
LaSalle is
Yeah.
up.
This is the same thing you can see
I'm
in the
talking
financials.
about 3 months.
Liquor's up.
I'm looking at March.
well, so LaSalle,
Remember private events is a big difference.
Yes,
Greg-
because we don't, well, and non-member events is also a big difference because we're not really doing non-member events.
because you
Go ahead.
said there's a point of sale, there are 2 point of sale systems.
Yeah, that
in
is always,
LaSalle.
that has been and will always be a little bit misleading. There's 2 computers in the LaSalle bar. Sometimes
Yes.
people who wait on the dining room tables will use that service
Ah.
computer in the LaSalle. So you might have table 10 or 20 or 30, but it's much more convenient to use that computer than the one back here in the service station.
And those are the big tables.
So that screws up,
Right.
okay, so that screws up this, okay.
Well, it screws it up not just this year, but it screws it up
Every year.
historically.
Exactly.
Correct.
Okay, so looking at this, Greg, this is what my question was. Okay, so
Yes.
the Tiki Bar, well, is this
1 month, 25 versus
but this is not
26.
lunch, this is all, so
This is everything.
okay. Should, if we, if we were talking,
There's an endless amount of data that we can run on different things. I'm trying to start the first budget meeting off with an overview.
okay.
So, out of curiosity,
Yeah,
because it looks like with Tiki, the big drop is with food, if I'm
Mhm.
reading this right.
Beer.
Is it possible that something got rung in somewhere else but is delivered to the Tiki?
it is possible.
Because the overall revenues between the years are the same, and I don't think we've had,
It is absolutely possible. And the huge variance on the tiki food there, and I'm gonna say there's a distinct chance that that's exactly what happened, either with a club event from 2025 or something else, because that's the only line item that there's a huge
Yeah,
variance like
that's-
that. Beer. Well, look at the line item difference between food.
It's food.
Yeah, it's food.
It's 24 versus 15.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's off a line, you gotta.
Yeah, sorry, thank you.
Yeah, that's the biggest jump in variance, and that could easily be one party. But all in all, if you look at the bottom right line on both,
Right.
which is a accumulation of everything over the
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
it's, at least you know it's apples to apples here.
So if you had to make a recommendation,
Yes,
looking at the numbers, knowing that some of them are, we could have a disconnect in the areas, what would be your recommendation?
well, that's a great question. My recommendation would come with knowing what the objective is.
Okay,
So my recommendation, if the objective is to provide the highest level of service we can and amenity to the residents, then my recommendation would be to close lunch in here, stay open for food service with the tiki menu at the tiki. That would be my recommendation. Knowing going into it, it's going to require a subsidy. It's
Sure,
going to
sure.
require a deficit
Mhm.
to the operation.
Sure.
If that's tolerable and sustainable, I think that's where we get the most bang for our buck for the residents.
And
More of a deficit?
Wouldn't it be less because you're eliminating some of the labor
I'm saying more of a deficit versus if we weren't open
at all?
out there. It would be more money to the.
Oh, yeah,
So
But
you
that's
have-
what I'm saying.
Versus current.
Right, current
Versus
status,
current.
it's still gonna be less than current status.
It's gonna be a less of a deficit than current status.
Oh, right. That's
But
the
more-
question.
Yes.
but obviously we have the
Having that
expense.
as an amenity and food service open 11:30 to 8, 5 days a week is going to continue to add incrementally to the deficit.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
gonna
It's gonna
continue to
run-
be part of the
But I think
deficit.
it's an amenity worth having. That's my opinion.
Yes,
And
it's going to be part of the deficit.
Correct.
Not more of the deficit.
No, it's gonna
Less, it's gonna be less of the deficit.
it should be less of a
Yes.
deficit.
That's all.
That's all.
And
Isn't that a good thing?
I think it's a great thing. It's going to add to the deficit, but it's going to cut into it.
and
No, it's not
It's
gonna
not
add to
gonna
the,
add to
no,
the
it's not
deficit.
gonna add to the
tiki- no,
deficit.
yes,
That's a
the
mistake.
tiki- No, the reason I say that is because the tiki does not run profitably.
It's not gonna add to the current deficit.
Correct.
I'm not talking about the current deficit.
You-
I'm talking about
Your
next,
statement, Greg.
next year's next year's subsidy.
We're not talking about that.
That's what I was talking about.
Just to make it clear, by doing what you're suggesting, will reduce the current deficit.
Yes,
All the other things being the same.
100%.
That's the
Yes.
only matters.
Well,
It's not gonna add to
let's
the
pause for
deficit.
1 second. When you say that's the only thing that
No, in
matters,
this conversation, you said it was going to add to the deficit.
having the tiki.
It's gonna continue to be part of the deficit,
Correct,
but by a lesser amount.
yes.
That's a big
Yes.
difference.
So
That's a
that
big
still
difference.
adds to the deficit. It still adds to it. It still is part of it.
Everything we do here adds to the deficit. We run at a deficit.
Not if we close an operation, not if we close a lunch, it doesn't add to the deficit.
But that's what you're.
That's what I'm
saying.
trying to say.
That's what Ken's saying.
We're saying the same thing. It's a terminology
You're saying the
thing.
same thing.
We're saying the same thing.
Not even, let's not
So
call it a
if today-
deficit, let's call it a subsidy. Because that's really what it is. It's
Yeah.
a subsidy.
Right, but we already have the subsidy, right?
This
We
much.
have this much subsidy because we're doing it everywhere.
Correct.
Now, if we only do the tiki bar, we have this much
That
subsidy.
is my suggestion,
We're all saying the same thing.
which
Yes.
still means we have the subsidy. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yes,
We-
right.
Yeah, we know we're
Yeah.
never gonna get rid of the sub, I'm sorry.
What we want to do is decrease the subsidy.
You
if
asked for
we
my
can.
recommendation, that was my
That's your
recommendation.
Yay.
And so, out of curiosity then, if it's, we would do that all year round, including season, I assume. And then I guess if
There's
it's,
hardly ever anybody in here eating lunch.
well, you say that, but, I think there, I guess I,
But if you look at the percentage of the population who use lunch in the La Sala versus dinner
well, so that,
versus lunch in the tiki
yeah.
bar, we're talking about a really
It-
small
it
population.
is. Where I was going with it though is, if it's hot, if it's cold, if it's rainy or whatever,
Could you do it in La Sala?
in the bar,
with paper?
bar,
Just like you do at the tiki bar?
if it's, that, because that's what I'm asking.
Could you serve lunch in La Sala
On
and
rainy days.
pretend, on rainy days, but do it the same way you do a tiki, only tiki menu
Right,
and on paper? Paper plates, you know what I mean?
it's just an
We
alternative.
could, but I just don't think that we have the foot traffic to do that. I think when people come up here, they're intending to use the pool and the lounge chair and the
I
tiki
think
bar.
you're right.
That's just my
I
opinion.
Well,
agree
and
with
I'm
it. I think
curious-
you're right.
Out of curiosity, because this goes back to something Rich had said ages ago, which has, interested me. my observation in the few times that I have come for lunch is that it's maybe members of our community who are a little bit older and especially in season when it gets dark earlier, don't want to drive. So if we were to, in season, for example, open earlier for dinner,
With an early bird special or something.
what do you think?
I don't think it's a bad
But
idea.
is that
I-
incrementally, what does that
It's
do?
not much, because my suggestion would probably be instead of open at 5 to open at 4, do some sort of a happy hour of complimentary food in the beginning.
There's a lot of people that love it.
Just
But,
to
but
let
your,
you know,
but your staff is already here.
That's
So-
what I was getting
So,
at.
so how
It
would
should
it
be
be
fine.
incremental?
Because
He's saying it's very little.
No,
Yeah,
very-
but it is, but
no,
he said
it is.
incremental, so I'm just curious.
No,
to
that's a
understand
good question, because rather than open at 5 and the line, like if the kitchen line knows that they're not open
why.
for
Okay, so
lunch,
it's the back.
and they have to, and
Gotcha.
remember, the back is double per
Yeah,
person.
sure, no, I know.
So
Yeah.
if they have to be ready at 4 versus 5, they're gonna come in 30 minutes or an hour early.
Just to let you know, food sales in main dining for January, February, and March was $16,000.
Is that lunch or dinner?
Lunch, it's nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
always been a.
I
it's a big
think that
loser.
we all agree that we've all been wondering about lunch,
Yeah, and
And I
there's
don't-
there's an added benefit that you and I both
the
know.
gaming.
Exactly.
We can
I'm
open
like,
that
I
We're
think
heroes.
Our people love it,
Bye, gals, thank you.
The next really question that we want to look at, looking at the revenue, and as you guys know, I came in November, I haven't seen June, July, and August. But if you look at the revenue for not just the Tiki, but the entire operation, does it make sense to open for lunch at the Tiki in June, July, and August?
Might not.
Probably not. So, but that's an amenity, it's nice to have.
I say before we make that
Yeah, I'm
decision,
not, yeah.
I would like to see the survey results to see how many people are
I
here full
agree.
time.
Yeah,
I would
Fair
hate
enough.
to jump
I
to
guess
that
it's like
conclusion
40%.
until we understand what the basis is, because,
Well, we have 2 years of that. This will be a third year.
yeah, I would like to see that, to see if it's gone up at all, because the pool is active. Is it active enough to have it open? I don't know. So I would like to just wait till we get the survey results on that one.
So, bottom line though, what we're talking about is when we do the budget for next year, we're doing it without lunch in LaSalle.
Correct.
In
In here,
room.
in the dining room,
Right.
yes.
And that's where I wanted to approach this meeting, rather than drilling down on all the line items, to figure out what the
The overall,
strategic
I
decisions
agree.
are. Because like when you look at the revenue for June, July, and August, it's only hovers around 35,000. So even if that 30, and that's being open, 24 days? So call it $1,200 a day between Tiki lunch and dinner. Well, actually, it's kind of unfair to look it back to 24 because Saturday wasn't open for dinner. And did the Tiki Bar exist in 2024?
Yes,
For
Yes.
lunch too,
yes.
during the off season?
That I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I don't remember.
Rich, do you know? 2024?
Keith says no.
Yeah, I think we were.
He would know about lunch.
Darlene says no.
I don't know. I would assume we were, but I'm not.
Well, the Tiki
Strike that.
opened in 2023.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
what did they have?
Yes.
They've
In
always had lunch.
2024?
Yes.
but
Even in
in
the
off-season, I don't remember.
Yes.
So just so that you know, including booze, last year at the Tiki, for lunch, May through September was not even $40,000 total.
May, June, July.
August,
August.
and-
So 5 months.
Yeah,
40,000, that's less than $1,000 a month.
No,
10,000 a month.
No,
less
yeah,
than
you're,
that.
I'm sorry, less than $10,000 a month. So we're talking about $350, $400, $500 a day, $400 a day. Times, because 24 days times 400 is 10,000-ish.
Is that break
Yeah.
even? Probably not.
The problem, no, it's still not break even. But this is where, this goes back to all the way to the beginning of the conversation. It's a strategic choice. Whether, and part of breaking even or not breaking even, is it your choice to provide the subsidy and the amenity to have, because the dollar value to open the Tiki for lunch, whether it's in season or off season, is 2 + 1 + 1. And that equates to about $275 to $300 a day. for labor.
And if we close in here and we're closed out there, you're saving both.
Yeah.
You're saving both, and now you could have a break-even proposition easily. I would never suggest, and I would advise you against not having alcohol service at the tiki even during the summer. Because just like we're finding out on Mondays and Tuesdays, running $100 or $90 in labor out there, we only need to sell $170, $180 just to have it as a break-even and not add to the subsidy.
I think the bar makes sense.
The bar makes perfect sense. And
Yeah.
we put some snacks out
It's
there,
food, that's
so
always-
Mondays and Tuesdays, people are eating chips and different things.
Right.
Salty snack.
Salty snacks.
Yeah.
So are you also gonna talk about Saturday night dinner and how that's working?
I can, I haven't done a deep dive into Saturday night dinner, but I can tell you we've gained some traction. Rich, you might have some statistics on Saturday nights, but we have gained some traction. The challenge that we face is when we have events and things like that on Saturday nights, which we frequently do, like this last Saturday night, we had the event at the pool. The other challenge, but by closing Saturday nights, is then you're open, closed, open, which makes the operation, especially if you're gonna be
Right.
open anyways at the tiki. So closing Saturday nights and having the tiki open, the incremental increase is only additional,
Okay.
it's a little bit,
Okay, and.
but that's it, goes back to
I
the,
sent this report out to you guys, January through March, Saturday night, not counting events, we did $23,000 in 3 months. It's worse than the.
not, what you say, not
Just
counting.
Saturday.
Just said, not events, just dinner.
Well,
So how many events did we have? And what was the dollar value of
Well,
the
okay,
event?
okay,
Because
well-
you're pulling Saturdays out of
Well,
that.
actually,
we
some
wanna
events
take a
did show
double
up, some events did show up here.
Yeah.
These numbers are not right, so we pulled up events. Oh, I did events, okay, that's with events,
Yeah.
23,000.
23,000 with
can we
events.
take, can we take a 5-minute bio break?
Sure.
Please?
Please.
Michelle's behalf, I'm gonna go too. used
You
to
need
do
a
that.
idea.
Yeah.
Denise used to do that.
Pardon? You need a hook.
Yeah, you need the
Yeah,
hook.
yeah,
for adults.
Yeah, the cones, yeah, to get,
Get a bottle of house wine for $10.
yeah, to get people, you know, give people a reason to come to the club. People are always looking for a reason to come to the club, so.
Everybody
Sorry.
wants a deal.
So we were gonna jump back in, because I know Rich was looking at reports.
Yeah.
I sent a lot, you guys, if you looked at, I sent a lot of these reports to you
Yes.
guys already,
Yes,
so,
I
yeah.
did.
Yeah, and
Got
actually,
it.
some of
Yeah.
them, yeah, because I,
It's a lot of information, and you just have to sit and,
well, I did, and I
Could you
fiddled
give me
around
another
with,
500?
with To Go, and I fiddled around with Tiki, especially.
yeah, to go is, yeah. that's-
I mean, Tiki, I have to say, when I pulled the Tiki data only and looked at it, you know, I do have some understanding, at least from what I was seeing, on why Greg doesn't always want to keep it open for food until X hour at night. I get it. There are some evenings
Yeah, I
where
agree.
it's, where it's just, so I think maybe just sort of a 15,000-foot view of mine is, I think between the survey and everything else, I think we need to, you know, let Greg come to us with these, you know, decisions, and we, you know, put our stake on the ground and what the expectations are, and
Well, and just like the pushback you're hearing from the LaSalle project, there's going to be people that
sure.
it doesn't work for them.
Yes.
But as an overall decision and strategic choice by the board to be fiscally responsible and financially responsible, it's the right decision to make.
It's a balance.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's not a decision. I can make recommendations
right.
and then they're your
Right.
decision.
I remember we had a situation, and maybe a while back, that we stopped food service a half an hour or something before closing. And maybe, you know, that was like too far.
That was awful.
Yeah.
That was
I
horrible.
remember that.
I remember that too.
Because I'm a late eater, and so I
No, no,
got
no.
here and I was like.
No, but I'm saying, like, at
I had the same
but I'm saying
problem.
like at the tiki bar, if the tiki bar closes at 7, you shouldn't be able to show up at 6:59 on the first order of food.
Yeah.
Because then the people that, you know.
But that's
people
what we
that-
expect in this
That's a-
country.
yeah,
In
exactly.
Europe, when breakfast closes at 10 a.m., that means they're putting the saran wrap on the jam. But in the US, it
I
means
know,
if
but-
you show up at 9:59, I want
I
my
know, but if you tell
pancakes.
people that, you know, last call is, you know, the tea closes at, because people shouldn't first be able to show up at 6:59 and order drinks, and then I'm gonna order
I think
food,
we
and
tell
then
them
leave
food
at 9
service
o'clock
ends
at
at
night.
5.
I have a question.
So I think we need to look at, you know, how that handles a little bit.
Okay,
I have a question for you. What time did the tiki bar close last night?
Sunday.
Should have been 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, okay. Because I was up here and I finally saw the staff leaving at like 6:35.
Yeah, 6 o'clock.
So, yeah, okay, so it was 6 o'clock, so it was a half an hour close down and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah, which
so.
makes sense.
Okay, I was curious because I thought it had closed at 5, and I'm like, oh my God, did somebody
Oh.
stay, and did we have, you know?
I think takeout
Right,
shuts
yeah.
off at 5, if I'm not mistaken, but the
Okay.
TV stays till 6. But to Rich's point, at 5:59, if we're open till 6 and you order, we're making you order.
Absolutely.
Yes,
That's my philosophy, and then unless I hear something different, if we're posted till a certain time,
Yes.
whether it's 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, that's what we're open. If we
Yes.
decide to close at an earlier time, I'm good with that. A good example is the Sunday brunch. I think the only time that I've cut back on or suggested and that we cut back on since I started here was instead of Sunday brunch 9 to 3, we did 9 to 2, which I also actually think 9 to 1 is probably appropriate, but we
Yes.
shaved it back by 1 hour. So that 1 hour is $100 or something in labor a week.
I go to 12:30.
I'd shave it back to 1, or
Well-
do whatever you
I
think,
think-
but
Yeah.
I don't think
let's-
anybody comes that late anyway.
I don't think so either.
Just incrementally as some people, but it doesn't make sense, but I'm coming up on 6 months here. So getting to see
Yeah. and
and really not be the guy that comes in and says, well, we're closing now and we're closing there and we're doing all that stuff. I've taken the lumps a little bit and just taken the lashes of doing things that I don't necessarily think are the right way to do things. But observing first and really having an understanding, I think is imperative to making sound decisions.
I got a speaking of brunch, what happens if, I know last year we went to à la carte thinking it was gonna save money, which it actually didn't.
Right.
But let's say over the summer, we don't have enough people coming for brunch on a weekly basis. Do we go to a bi-weekly basis? try that, or then once a month? I mean, I think we have to think about those
I
considerations.
think we have to see how, my personal opinion is we see how it goes, and
Well,
if
that's
Greg thinks we should dial it, then we dial
And I
it.
think that goes back to
Then
the
it's on
survey.
us and not on
No,
him.
I'm saying, that's, so we should have a conversation, because if
Yeah.
you start seeing those numbers,
Sure,
these guys start implementing.
But I think we need to see what happens because this is the first fall summer we'll be open for brunch again. So I think that
Yes.
it might
Yeah.
actually have
I
enough
think it
traction
lands.
to
I think it
hold.
will.
Yeah.
This is one of those plug your nose and take the medicine as you go, for me personally,
Right.
because even if I see it not productive or successful, I don't think we should change it midsummer. I mean, we just gotta go into the summer. We can control the expenses by reducing some of the labor, but we do on Saturday night all the time. Like Brian will take a look at the covers and send 2 cooks home at 4 o'clock, once the lunch service and the tiki service is over. You can see on our daily labor reports, I can see on our daily labor reports, it is always less on Saturday nights, but the revenue's less too, it makes sense. What I'm saying is we're being proactive in managing the expenses, which is the same thing we'll have to do on a Sunday. But my personal suggestion would not be to do open, close, where it didn't
Right.
work, we didn't give it, it's like
Right.
Saturday
I
night.
agree with you.
You know, let's get through the season
Yeah.
on Saturday night. If we want to make a decision for the fiscal year 26, 27, to not be open on Saturday nights, I would support it.
But I think you should do some of the things that were suggested, like a house bottle of wine for $10 on Saturday night and throw that out in a blast because I forget it's open, frankly.
Me too.
And Denise
I'm
used
not
to get
used to it,
people
and so I
in.
keep forgetting. But
I mean, people would,
We
she
don't
would
really
do that.
advertise it much.
yeah, I think we should.
She'd get 50,
And
60
And do a little
people in here.
special deal.
It's a little bit goes against what I've always been preached to about the discounts and the coupons and the giveaways and the freebies as diminishing the value of your product. I'm good with it, it's your money, and if we can drive more revenue,
Let's try it.
I'd be happy to. And we've done some of
I'm
those.
not talking on food, I'm talking about, a
No,
house
I get
bottle
you a bottle of wine, or what I like to do too. What I found successful in my days in
Look at you, by the way.
the for-profit restaurant world is we would do hors d'oeuvres. And I would do a chef's choice hors d'oeuvre between 4 and 5. And people could come in because that would give the chef an opportunity to be creative with some
I
of
like it.
the prime rib specials or the fish that he has, and to do different things in a chafing dish in the bar to drive people in between 4 and 5, and then we're not actually
Oh.
giving away a bottle of wine to somebody who would have ordered a bottle of wine. I'm open for all
And you're
kinds.
always gonna have the people who come in and just eat out of the chafing dish and run.
Yeah.
But
Then they want a
Yeah.
box.
That is
They want a
the
box.
problem.
2-drink minimum.
What about?
Oh, yeah.
What happened to the birthday celebration, you know?
Yeah,
It was
That's
somebody's
been going for
birthday, we offered a free
years.
meal to the
COVID,
person.
it never
I
came
don't-
back after
Okay.
COVID.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
the
even
difference.
remember that.
So-
I was on the board.
Because people are gonna come along, they're gonna come using a couple or 4 people, and you're giving away 1 meal.
right. And then I remember you guys brought that up at a driveway talk with me one time.
Yep.
And I think that's a great idea, but I don't think, like, so if your birthday's in the summer and you're not here, you
Yeah.
still get it, you get to utilize it when you come back. It's not like if you're not here, you lose it. Right?
Everybody gets 1 free meal a year. is what
And
you're
whenever,
saying.
but yeah.
Whenever you want it.
Yeah.
So you might not
Yeah.
be here. How
Right.
do you keep track of
Can you
it?
manage that? I know. that-
I know, I don't know how, I don't know how Denise managed that.
Yeah, you gotta
Or was
share
it
your
even
ID.
before
You gotta
Denise?
pay my birthday.
I'm sorry?
Okay,
Was that-
question taken. Okay.
Yes, okay. Sorry.
Okay. Cool. What else?
If there's nothing else about the strategic choices that we have to make, and will continue to make recommendations, what I think is best for this operation, I want to go to the next subject that I want to talk about.
Were you gonna, I wanted to just say one thing about the front desk, because you and I
Oh, yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
talked about the
Sure.
front desk. I don't know whether that's a topic you were gonna
No, it's,
talk about, because
it wasn't, but good.
I think Ken Sherrill and I were on the board when, I think it was Jeff Thomas was the GM at the time, we expanded the hours at the front desk. And I have to say, I think that regardless of what happens with to-go, and maybe that does inform the hours that somebody stays, I personally think that the front desk job is incredibly important.
I agree.
And
I
more and
agree.
more important, I mean, I hear and see some of the questions and interactions, and man, oh man, that's like the battalion commander
Yes.
position right
Totally.
there. So I just wanted to see if you all were on the same boat.
I hope
thought
that
we did.
I hope that you all are on the same page, because it's like a piece of pie. Taking to-go reservations is one sliver of the pie. But the other things that they do, and to me, the most important things are, they're the first face that someone sees when they walk through the door, and they're the last face they see when someone leaves the door.
Yes.
We have so many residents here who, literally twice this morning, I had 2 different residents come in and ask about their swipe cards. I mean, that was before the front desk got here, but the front desk all day, we're leasing, how do we get our grant access? Where do we get our swipe cards? I got a notice about watering. Can I make a reservation? There's so many things that front desk does, in addition to the incremental being there to have people sign their check when they pick up their to-go order. That is one sliver of the pie, but to me, that's not the intention. I agree with you 100%. It's a amenity, it's a service that the club provides that's worth every penny in this.
Just so like,
I
what
agree.
what that penny's worth is about $11,000.
Right, saw that, yep,
I figured, yeah. so I
saw that,
worked
yeah,
out.
thank you
So
for
that's-
that.
So that's what it comes down to, so that,
What do you mean?
that's
Negligible.
$11,000 for the,
To
for
go.
the year.
in what?
To go.
Labor expenses or
Labor
rest?
expenses for
Oh.
having somebody
labor.
at the desk.
It's more, it's gotta be more than
It's gotta be more than that.
$11,000.
Extended hours, no. I'm not thinking,
Oh, you mean between
Oh,
5 and
extended.
7?
yeah,
Oh.
the extended hours, yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna say, if we're paying somebody.
No.
I'm not gonna make out
It's
all
between
that.
it's between five, it's between
I know
five,
it
it's between 5 and, so if you had Sunday, if you stopped it at 2 instead of 5. Wednesday, Thursday, you stopped it at 5 instead of 7. Friday,
okay.
Friday you close at 5, Saturday you close it at 4.
That's reasonable.
You save, all those closures only saves $11,000.
It's not,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not worth
So-
changing it.
So my plan
All
to
on the same
propose to
page.
you all for changing of hours for the off-season, I'd like to hear your thoughts on all this, is 9 to 3 for the front desk on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. 9 to 3. Unless you want to extend on any of those days, we certainly can. I'm just putting this out there as my initial perspective of what the hours of operation should be for the off-season for the front desk. 9 to 3.
My opinion is we keep it 9 to 5,
Yeah,
Monday
don't
and
change it.
Tuesday.
Monday and Tuesday, 9 to 5?
Yes, and then cut back at 9 to 3 on Sunday. But
Yes.
9 to 5 because of people who have shifts, people who work in this community. We
Okay.
have people the
It's not
opportunity to come in.
incrementally worth.
Correct, it's not.
So just 9 to 3
I'm
Sundays.
glad you agree with that.
It's
And
not
maybe
worth
cut back
it.
a couple of, well, if you're gonna
No.
be able to dinner Saturday, then you need to be, then you
No,
need to
no,
keep it
Yeah,
up.
9 to 7. 9 to 7, Wednesday through Saturday, 9 to 5, Monday, Tuesday, 9 to 3 Sunday.
Mhm.
Okay? This is like the most valuable part of the
We can't
meeting.
make that decision, but if you recommend.
It doesn't have to be.
It's
this
a
isn't just
recommendation. You know
recommendation.
what? It's a recommendation.
It's operational.
Or
We don't-
direction.
And you know what? He doesn't need a board vote to
No.
do what
No.
he needs to do.
We
Right.
But I need to hear your recommend, you guys have been
You're
here
hearing
for
it.
years.
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
here for
We
6 months.
support your suggestion.
Support you.
The one thing we need to do though is we need to figure out what we're doing. I mean, we either have to advertise to go better, because I mean, it sounds stupid, we're paying $50 a month just for the cell phone. And we're barely covering the cost, was barely covering the cost of the profit of the cell phone.
Well, that brings me to another point that's completely away from this subject. Well, I need some direction about Alliance, because we're paying over $2,000 a month for Alliance. So that's the data and the IT service company. I'm kind of holding on until,
I'm trying to get an answer.
but that's like 2,000 something. That's a big,
$2,000 a month?
I'll show you this, I'll show you the invoice. It's
What do
big.
the other Hampton properties use and do other than Alliance?
No, we're keeping them as a backup because that has that's the data.
So it's costing us money.
So I'll go back to the attorneys again. Just Andy asked a question, I misunderstood. He was right, I was wrong. We went back to our outside attorney to ask him, because all of those backups should be sitting on Greg's computers. Actually, Greg, can you do this for me? On your computer in your office, so remember those two files that I downloaded?
Well, I don't remember, but I know that they're there, so.
Just make sure they're still there, and secondly, then speak to Giga Vision, make sure that's being backed up, because that's an important question. If I'm 99% sure your computer should be backed up, so it should be backed up with Giga Vision. And if they're being backed, so if you have them and they're being backed up, that's gonna make that decision a lot simpler.
So Alliance,
Tell you what,
are
Rich,
they
you can
data
access.
retention? Is that what you're telling me?
They were the
What-
IT, they were the IT company that was us also, that we had in the past, that was also doing the backups. So if we cut off, if we stop paying them, whatever stuff there, the backups are gone. So we need to make sure.
$2,000 a month for
I-
holding the
Shouldn't they
data.
just
Are there
back
any
it up
other
onto
services
a
they-
hard
Thank
drive?
you, thank you.
I don't
It should,
understand.
I want to make sure, that's what I downloaded, I want to make sure from the attorneys that that's an okay thing to do, because I'm assuming that they backed everything up and sent it all to us, I don't want to make that
But why don't we
decision.
just say to Alliance, look, here's my question. Say to Alliance, do your last backup, back it up on a hard drive, we want the hard drive.
Yes,
Well, they backed it up to Greg's computer, so it's.
I would say, give me a separate hard drive, back it up one last
I
time.
want
give
an
me a
external hard drive.
I want an external hard drive,
Mhm.
because then you don't have any issues with, it's on his computer or
Yeah.
computer. Back it
Greg,
up
can
to
you-
an
Yeah, no,
external
you
hard
can,
drive.
you can use my computer and like you did to download all that stuff and have a conversation. I had a conversation with Steve from Geiger Vision already. He said he doesn't need them, but what I'm not certain of is, first, what that information is and if it's been backed up. And third, if Alliance is still doing or has access or any licensing, any firewall protections.
Well, that I have, that I know nothing of. I mean, I don't,
Which is
I know
fine
no-
if you
I know
back it up to
nothing
an
of
external hard
Alliance.
drive, you don't have.
none of that should apply if we're not putting any new data out on anything that
Right.
Alliance has.
And Steve has said
So-
we're not.
Then, yeah.
Firewall or anything like that is meaningless. We
We
shouldn't
took
be,
care of that.
I mean, it should be, just like Cheryl said, give us an external hard drive, boom, it's sitting
Back
right
up,
here,
done.
and we're done.
Plug those into any computer.
And then make sure that what they give you, they sign off on that says it's 100% of the data that we have retained with you. And then if it's not, then we've got another issue. But
Richard,
regardless,
looking
that's
at me,
no,
I
I don't speak to, I can't speak to Alliance, you're gonna
You
speak
did
to.
speak to Alliance. I didn't have anything to do with the download of all the data that you did on my desktop. Nothing. I left.
Correct, Steve, Geiger Vision took care of it, I never did it.
Why don't we have Andy speak to Alliance
I think so.
and
Well,
say,
Andy's not sure either, Andy is the one who reached out to the other attorney to ask him if it's okay to shut it off.
but I'm just saying, have Andy reach out to Alliance to say, we're no longer gonna back up, please provide us with a hard drive and a statement that says this is everything that we have in
Not
it for you.
Steve.
Because if
I know.
Andy does it, then I think we're
But
clear.
it's just
Get backup from Alliance.
That's
We can do that at the
I
next meeting.
I have.
Right.
Why don't we do that at the next meeting?
Please.
Yeah, it's fine with me,
Just got very touchy.
I don't know who they are.
I'll
I've
email
spoken to
Andy.
them,
We'll figure it out.
And I don't know how to contact them.
And I will contact Steve again just to double confirm, but he's already said to me, we're not using Alliance.
Okay.
And the only reason that we're paying the Alliance invoice is for data retention.
$2,000 a month for data retention seems a little bit extreme in my mind.
I'll send an email to
So,
you.
okay.
That
Couldn't agree
seems
more.
like a
Okay,
lot
all
of
right,
money.
so,
All right, what's next?
Aren't you glad we sidebarred to a completely different subject?
Yeah,
that's okay.
What's next?
What's next is this. I'm defensive and protective, as I know you all are, about our staff and the money that they make and the way they're compensated. I'm not certain of all of the underlying reasons that this club, this property, has had the overwhelming turnover and very little tenure. But I have an inclination or an inkling that some of it has to do with the compensation or the resources or the money that the staff, service staff, who relies so heavily on service charge, makes in the off-season. So when the service charge is in the season based on $135,000, $140,000 a month, down to $30,000 or $35,000 a month, we're talking about a 400% variance. So I do have some numbers on what the average, and this is another, if somebody says to me, how much does the service staff make in a service charge? Well, it changes every day, and it changes every payroll, just like the revenue changes. So there is no standard set number. My recommendation would be to adjust the compensation rate to a higher hourly base that utilizes the service charge, but it looks at it from an annual basis and it distributes it over 12 months. the ballpark numbers that I came up with, when I look at the difference between the hourly rates and what that higher rate would be, you can match those anywhere you want. But I think if certain jobs should be $17, $18, $19 an hour, and other jobs should be $19, $20, $21 an hour. And if you look at the incremental increase between what the base is now, which runs for the front of the house service staff, and that's really all I'm talking about, because the back of the house wouldn't change, that it doesn't double what we pay in payroll, but it's about a 75 to 85% increase. It goes from $11 to $12 an hour for the service staff that is subsidized from the service charge on a monthly basis to more like $18, $19 an hour. So it goes up from 11 by a factor of 8, which isn't 100%, but it's 80-ish%. And depending on your job, for example, if you're a bartender, you might get $20 or $21 an hour because it's usually a little bit higher skill set, a little bit more experience. If you're a server, it might be $18, $19, $20 an hour. If you're a food runner, it might be $15, $16, $17 an hour. Those are the three different main areas that are affected by the fluctuating service charge. Because if you're making $11 an hour and you rely on the service charge, and during the season, that $11 an hour turns into 23, 24, 25, fluctuates every day. And then you take a hit and you go down to 12, 13, 14. I would imagine it's not just a culture, climate management issue. It's a you can't make ends meet issue. So my suggestion would be to reserve 5%, 10%, what the overall service charge is, which we kind of have a good number, looking at budget and trends and how much we're going to generate over the course of the year, looking at payroll, subsidizing the hourly positions with a higher pay rate, and then still allowing the additional gratuity to be added. I've heard a bunch of residents and board members and committee members say, I know in the off season they're not making as much money, so I always give an additional gratuity.
Yes.
I would keep that in place to
Yes.
allow for additional
Yes.
gratuity, even though it's more few and far between. And this shouldn't cost the club any more money. It's basically a redistribution of
Over
the
time.
service charge to have a higher service charge.
So what you're saying is you would not pay out the service charge 100% on a monthly basis.
Correct.
You would pull back 5 to 10% of it and reserve for it in the summer months to bump up payroll, to bump up the pay for the summer staff.
Yes, and then distribute it more evenly over the course of the year, which is one of the factors that having the line at the bottom of the check say service charge and not gratuity,
Yeah.
it allows you to do that. And that's what I can tell you, Jamie's club does that, the club I came from in California does that, Royal Palm does that. Most clubs do, and it allows them to advertise and offer a higher
Yeah.
Now, if we
Yeah,
do
that
this,
makes a lot of sense.
if we do, I mean, I like the concept, but what is the risk of losing staff who come here, make the higher wage in the off season and then leave in season, because I can go to downtown Venice, working made in Italy and get paid $30 an
Isn't
hour.
that the
with temps.
point though?
Right.
That's the point.
I don't think people, I think
No,
the
no.
other reason.
No,
that
but
people
that, no, but
come here-
No,
but the point
He's
is,
saying
they
they'll
want
do the
tenured
opposite.
staff.
No,
Right.
I'm saying it's gonna do the opposite. If they're making less money now during season,
I
they'll leave
understand,
here, they'll leave here in season.
but that staff who wants to go and make $30 an hour, we will attract a different kind of staff member here because it's.
And I think we have a staff member here that not only is driven by their income, because it is a main source, they are driven by us as members here at the River Club. I hear that
You're
so
right.
often
No, I-
that,
I'm
and
just,
so I
Rich,
think creating that balance,
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna bail to go to Tuscany or Maiden
And you know
Italy. I
what, you're
just
always
don't.
gonna have that small segment.
We
You're
already-
always gonna have that.
It already exists.
But
Right now, during season, even with the service charge being higher, you can still, if money is your only objective, you can still make more money.
Maybe someplace
And
else,
down
yes.
You go
someplace
to
else.
waterfront
We
today, you can make
already
$500
don't
a night.
attract people or lose people. A lot of the people that we have here, and you guys touched on it, are here for how they're treated,
Mhm.
how comfortable it is, the benefits that we offer. They, it's it's not about, if you're a service employee and you want to make the most amount of money in the least amount of hours, this is not the environment. It's already that way. We lose people for that reason already. My goal, and I would think that the goal as a community would be to start to cultivate and develop a staff that's here and gets taken care of and has a living wage that not just during 6 months, but during the whole year, because the cyclical turnover is not something that's new to this club. And it is a challenge that I would like to offer a solution. So moving forward, we can start to build a team of employees that, I mean, I just went through the start dates of our entire staff with Cindy from HR. We've really got one service person that's been here longer than 2 years. You know, the other veterans have been here 1 year and 8 months. So that is very low retention for a service team. And it's hard because there's so many nuances about the club operation and getting to know the residents. You're not strangers that walk through the door, it's the same people. The strangers in this operation are the staff. The staff turns over, the residents don't. Unlike in a restaurant, the staff are the familiar and the customers turn over every day.
So my question for you is, how do we accommodate for that this summer? Can we do that at all? So we ensure that the staff that we have on site right now, which I think is phenomenal, stays all summer.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. I don't know that there's a way to do it other than to address the challenge and to address the shortfall, because what we do is we pay 100% out of the service
Right.
charge every payroll.
Right.
So there isn't a nest egg
Correct.
that I'm aware of set aside for this purpose. But what I would like to have the board consider is there a reserve? Is there a resource that we can use to address that situation? Because what I really don't want to go through, and I know that the team doesn't want to go through, is the onboarding and training
Correct.
process.
Right.
That's a process that
That's
takes
expensive.
months, sometimes years for different roles.
So my question for you then is,
Yes.
what's the cost of that learning curve and that onboarding as compared to what we would need to come up with from a funding perspective to make sure those people are retained here for the summer?
I can tell, I will look into that, and I will give you a much more grounded number.
Okay.
And basically what I'm going to do to come up with that number is I'm gonna take the base pay rates that people receive right now.
Yeah.
Almost make the service charge for 4 or 5 months negligible, and then figure out what it would take based on the hours to make up the difference between 11 and 18.
Yeah, because,
Okay.
I mean, when we're talking about onboarding, you know, we're talking about overall costs, even going back to the Hampton cost as well.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
It's gonna be.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll come up with
That'd
a
be great.
number that will.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then it will just be a matter of, for fiscal year 26, 27, taking a look at what did we pay out in service charge over the course of the year, how many labor dollars were spent, how many hours were spent, and then coming up with a number that leaves a plus or minus of 5 to 10%. And then what you can do at the end of the year is that could be a sliding scale for employee Christmas party, or uniform expenses, or different things like that, where if you have $5,000 or whatever left, that can go into that. It might be 3 1 year, and it might be 11 1 year.
Yeah.
So if you guys are down for that, I'm gonna put something like that together, because I think that's gonna be our biggest nemesis for a successful
Yep.
team to have tenure.
Great, and I think, do you anticipate any challenge with the staff understanding it?
Yeah, just like every decision that gets made, some people are gonna push back, and some people are gonna,
Yeah,
but I think that it's one of those things that, and unless we do something,
yeah,
the pattern that has existed for how many years? I mean, can you all, anybody who's been here for a long time, think of the last time you had a staff that really was 5, 8, 10 years of tenured employees?
Wasn't pre-COVID from Mike?
Probably, I don't even
There's a
remember
lot
it
of
then. I mean,
So did you
But I'm gonna ask, I'll talk to the GM up there.
hear what Ken just said? So what did you just say about your club up north?
We have a lot of
20-year tenure.
100%.
Okay.
The clubs that I've come from.
Does your club close?
No,
No, you have indoor courts and stuff, don't
they
you?
have the opposite problem, because in summer, they do a great business all winter. They're open, the dining is open all winter.
Send their staff that we should swap staff.
Yeah, well, the golf shop does that.
Yeah,
Really?
so does
They're-
yeah,
Some of the assistants come down here and work all winter,
Yep.
and then come back up there for the summer.
And there's different programs I've used before, H2Bs and J1s.
Yeah.
Those are extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Because not only do you have to pay a higher pay rate, you also have to house them
housing,
and transport.
correct.
And you have to pay
Yeah.
the VIG on the company that you use.
Right.
Yeah,
But like in the dining areas, it's easy to get summer help up there,
yeah,
because all the colleges are off.
yes, yeah, okay.
We don't have that
You just
luxury
have a better situation, obviously.
for that,
Yeah.
for those
Yeah.
peaks and those.
We'll see what
So-
they use for their compensation.
I'm gonna ask you.
On this compensation change, do you have a core group of employees that you sometimes roll stuff out to? Because they're the biggest grapes on the vine, that can help people
Well,
understand it?
we don't really have a core group. I mean,
It is your core group. Your
my core
your
group
core
is, yeah. I mean, we've got 4 employees that have been here longer than a year.
Yeah.
Out of the whole staff that you see up front, 4 have been here longer than a year. So, yes, we talk about it with them, and sometimes and different people will push back. I think as long as they see when the check comes out and they look at some of the numbers,
Yeah.
especially during the off season, they're like it now.
Going.
Right, because now is really the time to make a difference,
Exactly.
because it's not going to be long when the revenue falls off the cliff and the paychecks come out. And so much of the paycheck is dependent upon the service charge,
And they'll still get their additional gratuity.
100%.
Yeah, I think
And
that-
that's the way, to me, it's like a really smart thing to do. You know, you don't wanna, when you go out, I know when I go out to a restaurant, if I get great service, I tip 30 or 40%.
Yes.
And if I get lousy service, I tip 12%. And, you know, I tip on good service, right?
Right.
And that's what I think having that
Yeah.
additional gratuity
Yeah.
line go to that particular individual
Yeah.
is very helpful to retention.
I agree.
Completely agree, cool.
Okay.
That really summarizes
Okay.
my subjects that I wanted to
Okay.
talk about and think about.
Great.
The last thing I want to just touch on real quick, and I can go through it. I know that you guys said you're going to be supportive of the suggestions, but I also want to run some of the ideas and suggestions past you for the off season, because I have not been here for the off season. Tiki hours of operation, currently 9 to 5:30. My plan right now, unless you tell me differently, is after Mother's Day to close Mondays and Tuesdays again, after Mother's Day, which is May 10th. We could push it out to Memorial Day if you wanted to. It's not a big hindrance. If you want me to go through Memorial Day, I'd be happy
I
to.
thought we left it as when it starts becoming cost negative. As
But
long
I
as it's
have-
cost neutral, as long as it's cost
As
neutral.
long as it's, yeah, I agree.
Why don't
Well,
you leave
okay.
it, why don't you
You
leave it to
decide.
Memorial Day and monitor what happens those last 3 weeks?
I like your thoughts.
Bingo.
Because
Memorial.
you'll know,
Good
because
suggestion.
everybody, that's it, yeah. it'll be gone.
And the reason that I just don't want to wait until it actually happens is because we post hours, we send things out a month.
But you can't make a decision on one day. I mean, let's start seeing the trend of 2-3 weeks of.
How about during the summer? Let's call it June, July, August, September. Tiki hours of operation, Wednesday through Sunday. I mean, right now, the Tiki is open till 8 o'clock at night.
It's too hot and buggy and usually rains from between 3 and 5.
Well, if you look at that spreadsheet that I sent with the hours, that'll tell you. And then I did, actually, the last one I sent you was last year's hours. The one I sent yesterday, or Thursday and Saturday, shows last year's hours, and that will tell you what we did last year. And that is really indicative, again, of when we were closed down.
Well, on the same subject, but on a little bit different angle at the same subject, when the restaurant is busy and the Tiki is busy, we cannot execute. There is not enough people in the kitchen, runners on the floor. The distance is too great. It is counterproductive, especially if you come out to the restaurant and you expect to have timely food and service. Adding that number of seats to the restaurant operation is very detrimental. So, tiki in the off season,
I mean, when you look, you know, days of the week, it's, you know, some days it's a few $100, and that's over the course of the whole day in terms of revenue.
and so we remember, we spent $300 in labor just to open. So do we close tiki except for alcohol service during the off season like we do on Mondays and Tuesdays? And have no lunch service on the inside and the outside during the off season?
No lunch service at all.
No lunch service at all. It's $300 a day. Or do we keep you just said with some days we have $300.
I think that's counterintuitive, what we're trying to do to hold the staff. That's my opinion.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, the staff is very limited for the tiki, but
Okay,
if we're open for dinner, 4 days a week, plus Sunday brunch, we run up to, and the staff is fully aware they're gonna lose some hours. It's not gonna be overtime almost every week.
right,
But
understood,
if we
yeah.
keep them at above full-time status, which is 30 or 32, we can do that easily with 4 nights and a Sunday brunch.
Okay,
And I think, personally, I think that we should really be aware of, you know, the hours. It's too hot and rainy and buggy after a certain hour
agree.
out there in the summer. I mean, you know this,
Yes.
after Memorial Day, forget it. So, I think to close it entirely is probably not ideal, but maybe to close it at a reasonable hour, like, you know, 2 or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Is something we could be
2,
looking, can we
3,
look at what
4.
that would do?
100%.
No later than,
Well,
no later than 4.
But then your open's just a couple hours.
And
so
then they're here
you're
for
prepped
dinner.
food, yeah.
And then they're here for dinner.
But if you hear.
So then,
Because if you open and then you're closing for there, but you're open for dinner anyway, and they have.
right,
How
doesn't
many
make
people-
sense.
How many people are you losing? Or you have staff here anyway.
Well,
What do
gotta
you
keep-
think?
No,
What should we do?
my suggestion would be not to do food service at the tiki during the off season. That would be my suggestion. And then have your opening time at 4 o'clock, Wednesday through Saturday, and then Sunday brunch. Would be what I would
At the
suggest
tiki as well.
everywhere. Have beverage service at the tiki.
Probably right.
It's just, again, that's my suggestion if I'm looking at it from a fiscally
Could
responsible.
we look at it
We can run through the whole
both
summer and see what
ways,
happens.
and then we can noodle it before the 8th of May?
I mean, yeah, I mean, if.
I'd like to look at it both ways, because I think, you know,
Me too.
because what Cindy and I have actually, to the extent we're a little bit talked about this is, you know, the people who are here all year, you know, there's some of that. And I get it. I mean, it's
I
fair
get it
enough, fair enough. So, if we look at it both ways, at least in my opinion.
I mean, if you look at the sales at the tiki,
Oh, they're terrible.
I mean, you're talking 11 o'clock, July 3rd, June, 1 cover, 3 covers, 5 covers, I mean, in an hour.
I'm gonna sound like a broken record,
Yeah.
but I'm going back to what I said at the very beginning. It's a choice. It's not, it's a strategic choice. Do we provide, and you can just in your head, you can think about, it's for lunch service at the tiki, it's about $300 in labor.
Right.
I mean, I'm all for providing amenities because I think we should do that. But
Right.
if the residents aren't utilizing it, then
But we can still do pool and alcohol.
I agree with you, not having lunch there and food service opens at 4 o'clock in
4
off
o'clock.
season. I mean,
I
that's a
agree.
nice
I agree with
kind
you,
of
Sharon.
compromise.
I agree.
I agree.
You
Yeah.
still have the bar,
Yeah.
you still have your
still have the
salty
bar.
snacks.
You still have salty
Right,
snacks.
and you still have the staff here.
And if we're
Yeah.
doing 1 cover, 3 covers, but we're bringing in 1, 2, 3, 4 people for 5 hours a piece or 4 hours a piece,
Right.
I got a stupid question. I mean.
Yeah.
We have a refrigerator out there. Could they make sandwiches? And have some pre-made sandwiches for sale out there? I mean,
no,
I
the
think
quality.
you're gonna throw most of them away.
I do
You
too.
throw most of them away, and then the other thing, and this is my days, I had a flashback to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. We had 2 snack bars on a track that wrapped around that 36 holes in the Rose Bowl. It was 6 miles long, 5,000 people a day walked on this track. So our 2 snack bars were serving sandwiches, pre-made sandwiches. Well, after about 30 minutes, a pre-made sandwich, if you have mayonnaise or lettuce or tomato or anything on it, the bread turns into mush. So I hear what you're saying, but it's a little bit counterproductive for the amount of time, effort, and energy only to have a product that's really not that good.
Yeah.
If we want to increase the snack options that are, especially with the humidity down here. Now, I'm talking about Pasadena, California, where it was 72 with no humidity. Down here, where it's 92 and not 100% humidity, even in the river.
Yeah, you can't put stuff in.
No, but the refrigerator is so small and it's got the mixers and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
well, that's good.
That whole tiki bar is just not set up for
No, it's not.
to-go containers, silverware, plates, glass. There's not even enough room for the glassware that we serve. I mean, we are completely jammed in the different locations for glassware. And on a busy night, we run out of glassware in the first hour. So there's just not enough space, even for the drinks, let alone sandwiches or things like that. So I would highly recommend against that.
And
Oh,
just
let's-
keep are you talking prepackaged salty snacks?
Yeah,
Well, I think that's perfect.
right.
And a couple beef sticks for the kids who are
Right.
starving.
Yes, and we can turn it into a better snack bar with the prepackaged things.
Sure, I think that's perfect.
And have a handful of items, even like the chips and stuff that we've got out there now. We sell a handful of bags of chips every day. It's only 10 or 12 bucks, but it gives people something to snack on Mondays and
Exactly.
Tuesdays.
Right.
Because the food
Good.
trucks are not
Good.
coming because we're not meeting their minimum.
Okay,
Correct.
yep, good, all
So
righty.
are you guys
Yes.
on the same page
Yes.
with
Yes.
Yes, absolutely,
food
yes,
in the restaurant, 4 o'clock
yes.
till 8,
Mhm,
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
mhm,
and then Sunday brunch, 11 to 1.
yes,
9 to 1.
I'm sorry, 9 to 1, you're right. And then the tiki bar will still be open at 11:30 for
Mhm.
beverage service.
mhm,
If somebody wants to eat, they can either have a snack or bring something to the tiki. But if it's really that hot and there's that few people out there,
mhm.
I don't think that's gonna have a big impact. What about, let me just get these going. 9 to 1, Sunday, Wednesday through Saturday, 4 to close.
I would say I would even go 12:30 in the off season for brunch. Just to
Well,
consolidate the people in.
What did you say, Rich? I'm sorry.
I would say bring brunch to like 12:30 in the off season. Just,
Does it
you know,
matter?
just to consolidate the people in.
Probably 10 to 1 would be better instead of 9 to 1.
yeah, but I'm always surprised how many
lot of
people
early
are here
risers.
at 9:05.
That was me.
I know, it's okay. That's a limited window and we're doing 100 or close to 100 every Sunday.
I'm talking about as we hit start, well, you can start seeing as the numbers go through off season. We have no idea.
You have better ideas than I do.
We haven't done brunch, we didn't do brunch last.
You did it once a month.
Right,
Yeah.
and then we get breakfast the other three, like
Yeah,
all
the first
carte.
of the
But we,
But to be honest, it's ironic that you say that because the food waste, not ironic, it's
that wasn't.
apropos, because the food waste is less than the labor waste.
Mhm,
And
right,
the level of satisfaction that people get, because turning an à la carte dining line cook that's cooking burgers and pastas and fish every night into a short order breakfast cook where it's over medium, sunny side up, I want my toast on the side, is off the rails. I know, it's a fire drill back there.
That's fine.
So that's good for that.
reminds me of a story.
And I'll wait till after Memorial Day to make the
Yeah,
change.
yeah.
And then we'll go
Yeah.
through the off season and see how it pans out.
Mhm.
I'll come back with variance numbers on higher pay rates.
Yep.
And the effect of that.
Perfect, great.
Thank you for your time. This
Thank you.
helps with
Oh,
writing
this is
budgets.
great.
And hopefully this answers a lot of
Yeah,
questions.
this is great, cool,
Absolutely.
awesome. Alrighty, so, if there's nothing else on staffing, maybe we can start to bang through. Let's see, so we had 4C, which is a discussion of the board
Yes.
email to residents.
That's this one.
Full disclosure, I the edited one, I sat down with my good friend Byron. He's given me some great golf advice. So, I asked him.
Good for you.
Oh, 18th hole, yeah, it changed my game, 100%. I'm scratching
Well,
all
started
over.
Starting
with-
with, right?
Have you tried it out yet?
No, but to be fair, what I liked about what Greg did on the draft that I had sent you is it was a bit less, the draft I think is less directive, and a bit more collaborative, and I felt a little bit cleaner. So the red reflects Byron's input. So I'm curious your thoughts. Rich, I think you said you'd like to see it shorter.
Yeah, I mean, I would take out that first black sentence, I'd take that out and start as we continue.
Okay,
I would get rid of that.
okay, that works.
I would just make, in the second paragraph, an essential part of the
Yeah.
success of the red is our staff, period. And I would just leave it there, because, like I said, I was reading this on my phone,
Okay.
and I lost interest, and I'm supposed to be reading it.
I doubt most people read it on their phone, but,
No, you'd be surprised how many people actually read it.
so what would you take out?
I would say, as we continue to enhance the Venetian River Club,
I got that,
You know,
I got that.
and then
Move on,
the second paragraph, I would just do the first sentence only,
Mhm.
and then I would go right into the rules and regulations, because you want to get what the behaviors are as up top as possible, because by the time you're getting back down to the bottom, you're gonna lose half the people.
So you want to
So
lose the
stop,
two
you wanna lose-
sentences?
Yeah, so
I would-
stop after
I would-
the first sentence and go to the red sentence.
Yeah, go to the right sentence, and the second paragraph should only be that very first sentence.
Okay, so then we just go right from staff to the Venetian River Club's rules and regulations are available.
Yeah, that's my personal opinion. I just want to make sure that people get to the main point of this.
So then,
Which
well,
is-
Wait a minute.
I would say as an essential part, that first sentence.
No, I went,
That's what he said, though.
that's okay, I was trying, so the first sentence is an essential part of the success of
Right.
the River Club is our staff, period. Then we
manner
start at the
The
manner
manner,
in which
okay,
we interact with each
fine.
other and our staff.
Yeah.
Thank you,
That
yes.
works for me.
Venetian, okay.
Okay,
Thank you, yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure we included.
And,
so we don't need the title in there, okay.
and I would not, and I would not put in the part about what the club rules say up top. I'd put that lower. You want to make
I'm
sure,
not following you.
you want to make sure people,
No, what were you
No,
saying in
Where
terms
are
of
you,
moving
Rich?
text?
Yeah,
What were you saying?
the Venetian rules, you have all the stuff about what the club rules say, and then you say the following behaviors directed toward the staff and each other will not be tolerated, and you list them. I think that list has got to get higher up. If we're looking to really protect the staff, we need to get the key point higher up into the body of this letter.
So I think we should flip where it
Yes.
says the following behaviors directed, put that up before, here are the Venetian rules,
Yeah.
the River Club rules and
Correct.
regulations. You can
Correct.
find them here, but then outline them. So
Yeah.
you're basically saying, stop with this, stop with this, stop with
Yes.
this.
So.
And if you need a reference, here it is.
So
Correct.
Byron had suggested a sentence that I must have missed, which said, these standards are in place we could say the following standards are in place to protect the culture of the River Club and ensure a positive environment for everyone, including staff, and then list.
It's your first red sentence and down here, it's right here.
I mean, I like that sentence, but I think we should get the behaviors that we're trying to stop high up into this as possible, where you still have people's attention. That's just my
So
feeling.
maybe start this section with that first sentence.
Yes.
Please note the River Club policies and then go right to the following behaviors will not be tolerated.
And then
Yes,
say as per, this is as per our rules, and then you could drop into
So
that.
you're saying the 4 bullets go after the first sentence that ends
Right.
including staff?
yes.
Yeah.
I agree with
That's
that.
that's just,
Okay. Is there anything else anybody would delete? I think it's important that people know that the rules are promulgated by the board and not by, the general manager or Hampton, that these are our rules.
So this, under Venetian Club rules and regs, we start with please note. Then we go to the following behaviors will not be tolerated, and then we go to the Venetian River Club rules and regulations are available. Right? Is that correct? Is that what you guys are thinking?
yeah, just, I mean, there's a lot of rework to do, but yeah, I think you got the point.
3.
And how it gets done exactly, I don't care per se.
Okay.
That was just my comment was,
Yeah,
I
I don't
do
know that we
agree.
need the end of that last paragraph. Personally, I think these are the rules and regulations.
Yes,
And then I think they're set by, I think they just are.
It's set by the
It
board.
doesn't matter who
Yeah.
sets them.
Oh, okay.
They are.
So what we
they
could
are,
do
they are the rules and
is,
regulations.
so then we're ending it,
Thank you.
then we're ending with put in, let's see, so we're ending it,
Does
yeah,
this help? So yeah, this is one,
yeah,
2 is
yes,
this,
yes.
3 is
yeah,
this.
I've got that.
and then we just go to thank you very much for your
Yeah,
attention.
okay, yeah.
You're
that's
getting rid
fine.
of that whole thing.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, no, I had the same thing.
Because
I just-
people have stopped reading by then anyway.
Yeah.
that's what
No,
I'm
that's
saying.
fine,
You know,
that's fine,
and we get so many communications, it's hard enough anyway, if you just make it.
okay. I think I got it. Okey-dokey.
Thank you for taking the time to do
No
that.
problem.
Hey, you know what, I
Thank
have
you,
an
Byron.
observation.
It's all-
It kind of has ended up being just the red stuff, so I think Byron should write from now on.
Wait. Yeah, too late, we moved
Too late,
on.
yeah. We've taken Anna.
Busted. He was busy looking up my golf stats to see how to improve my game more.
He is a very good writer, by the way.
He's an awesome-
He's a very good writer.
Okay, I'll get that taken care of. The fourth thing on here is the financials. Now, before we get into that, there were a bunch of little shorty things
And then my landscape,
in
which we
landscaping.
can put at the end.
Okay. Okay, good. So, I think I can bang these out really fast. So I wanted to let you know that on this, I guess most of you know on the survey, a reminder, I think already went out today. We're closing the survey, at the end of the day, Friday. We should have some input very quickly. I'll see how quickly I can get, the results to the board. So I just wanted to let you know that that's happening. I wanted to let you know that on, last week on Tuesday, I had been invited, somewhat circuitously to the Venice Police Department. No comments, please. They're conducting a staffing study. And they were bringing in representatives of each of the communities. I think they were going by zone. We're sector 7. So there were people from Waterford and some of the communities on Venice Ave, the Auburn Woods and Auburn Hammocks and all those other places. Just to understand what our priorities, service expectations, and public safety needs are. So they kind of went around the room and ultimately I think what this is leading to is a budget discussion. Now they shared with us, this is important, that there are currently 5 open positions in the police department and they're having trouble recruiting, and it's probably a combination of how much we're paying the officers, but also people younger than us don't want to work 60 and 70 hours a week, even for overtime, the way some of us used to do. So it's a work-life balance thing, and it's also a pay thing. Long and short of it is, the message I took away is I think they want us to understand that as the city grows, there'll be, there will be some changes in expectations, what we can expect. I'm thinking specifically about things like you're calling up to say that somebody's fishing in your pond.
Yeah.
They may not be able to
Yeah.
prioritize that in the same way they prioritized it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was interesting because the guy who was handling the focus group I was in is the retired police chief from Sebastian, Florida. I think it was Sebastian or Palm Coast, that went from 18,000, kind of the size that Venice was maybe 8 years ago, to 10 times that. And so they saw things change. From our side, I explained, we have some challenges because of our size. We do have certain expectations. And I also made clear to the police department, I don't think they have a full understanding of our CDD constraints that our roads are public. Because the guy actually was arguing with me and said, well, I don't understand that. You're a CDD, you know, if the city doesn't maintain your roads, then your roads aren't public. I said, no. It's a condition of our bonds. So I told him, you know, I think there needs to be some additional understanding within the police department. So I'm just setting that up that we have a good connection with the police department, but things are obviously changing in Venice, and
Once they got rid of the direct phone number to the police department, things started changing.
yeah, no, interestingly though, and I need to share this with Keith, the chief's administrative assistant is phenomenally good. So I think if we need to get to somebody like, as you know, I've had to contact the police department a couple times with some of our suspensions. I would not go probably next time to the Dewey captain. I would probably go to the young woman who's his assistant. She's very dialed in. So I think we have a good partner in the police department, but things are changing is maybe what I would say in the end. So
is this a conversation that we need to have with Andy to see what steps we can take if we feel that like are no trespassing, what actions do we have available to us as a community at that point?
It's a great question. I think where I would like to start is ask Andy for a concise blurb that we can provide to the police department about our constraints. And the example is the woman who had the temporary restraining order against a relative because he threatened her.
Correct.
And the officer was able to turn somebody back. Some in the police department think that we have the right to refuse them entry, and we don't. So I think that, and that's the example actually I gave to the guy running the focus group.
Yes.
It also makes me very happy that we're putting in the fence on the perimeter because I think it helps. So all I'm saying to you all is I think it means we need to keep a good dialogue with the police department. I told the police department that they're very supportive in here of the police department, and I think the dialogue is going to continue, but things are clearly changing because we're growing.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
Just, that's
Okay,
the
thank
message, okay? So long and short of it is what I want to share with you on that. And then the only other thing I had, and we don't have to have the discussion today, but I wanted you all to know that in terms of Christmas decorations, shifting from the police to Christmas decorations, I'm working with Barbara Bracco, because I think she's got a great eye for this stuff, on decorations for the front gate. There's only so much we can do because Keith looked into the cost of electric, regular 110 on the island. But I'm gonna ask for more money than the $5,000 we currently have in the budget for the CDD side of the decorations. I think what we have up front does matter. It costs about $2,000 per module to fully light them. So
They're stunning.
they are stunning,
No,
but
they're
here's some
spectacular.
interesting things you can do, and I tried to show you in the presentation is what you can do, and I think we can do up here, is you can light the trunk, and that's $1,000. And then you can light the fronds, and that ends up being almost as much as the trunk. Or you can do like a burst up light that only adds $100. I do think that the front gate needs to look right, and I also think there will be some things that change with respect to your landscape plan. So I'm going to look at essentially doubling, asking if we can double what the CDD decor for holiday is. I see at least
think
one.
that's an
On what condition we get rid of
excellent
the candy striping?
Oh, they're gone.
Oh, yeah.
They're gone. And you know what I love about Bobby Bracco is she said to the guy, well, it looked like Walmart. And the guy was like, okay.
It did, actually. There were some parts of
But
it.
I don't
that
like the bows.
What's our current
The
budget?
bows are.
No.
Well, right now,
Those are
we
bad.
spend $4,500 annually and that's what it's been for the last.
For the 3 trees and then the wrapping.
That's
So-
lighting it on, huh?
Yeah, lighting palms.
I think we need 12 for the gate, plus we'd also be able to do some the front entry and also the gatehouse itself. And then I've talked to Greg about making sure what's here at the club aligns with the look of what's at the gate. So it's a unified picture,
How
which is
long
what
do we get to keep it?
Well, see, that would be my other question is, those come down at the same time that residents come down, but I always hear people say, why do they have to take the lights down so early? Can we,
Put them up a little sooner, keep them a little bit later, because you go to UTC.
those 2 months are just.
Okay.
Well,
I mean,
we don't,
okay, I'm
well, we
joking.
don't fall
Okay.
under the POA.
No,
Oh, you're right, you're right.
Direct declaration, so right out of the box, we
I
can
think we should
say,
leave them up, little
I mean,
lights.
I love.
We're leaving them
I love going to UTC and seeing what it looks
Yeah.
like. I mean,
I
it's,
think some of the, I don't know,
Okay.
some of the stuff you were proposing to me looked a little over the top.
We won't propose in the Lions, don't worry.
you cringe.
What were you proposing?
Your holiday decorations.
So what was,
I
just
don't
help me?
know. I couldn't tell if they were additive or.
When you come with your
No,
final proposal, I think
Yeah.
that'll be when we can talk about the details of, when you come with a, this is
Sure.
what I think we should do.
And we'll
Then
know
we can
more
talk about
once
it, 'cause
we look at
exactly.
and we should know how long we can keep them up.
And I would like-
We can keep them up as long as we want to.
Yes.
Well,
Well, without, yeah.
That's something that Jill's gonna have to get with the holiday trimmers, because
Correct, they gotta come
they
back.
hire a crew
Yeah.
and vehicles and all that to come down here and do it. And we're at the last end of their string as far as they come south, basically. And so we are literally the last ones that they
I
pick
can
up.
ask, don't ask, don't guess.
So we're the last one to put down and the first one to pick up, so we got it for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I think
But-
we should ask for a
Well, yeah, no,
longer period.
we'll ask and.
Well,
see
they go
what
up
we
in
get.
October. They'll come
They
down
do.
here and start putting up
They
the
do
lights in
start in
October.
Just don't get turned
In
on.
mid-October, they start, and they just don't turn
The
them
tree
on.
should be lit all year round.
Yeah.
I would be happy with
I would
that.
be,
I think
I would be happy with that too.
Just a couple.
Yeah, I
And
would
then
love
at
that.
Christmas,
Blow it out.
I would love that.
I mean, I just.
Well, let me talk to him and see what he says. It was really not, I didn't want to
You're
go
right.
down the rabbit hole of what we're putting up, only sensitizing you to the number that I'm asking for, because I told Barbara that I would.
And this
We
is,
appreciate the
this has, if we're gonna do it for this year, we need.
I need to
She's on a
get on that,
timeline.
But here's
to-
what, here's what I can do is go ahead and put it in. I'm sure we can change it, I'm not hugely fussed about that. I'll go ahead and get it in. And then, and then we'll go from there, because like, for example, he had talked about lighting the Japanese blueberries, but they go, I call them hollies, but they're the Japanese blueberries. The River Club is a little bit of a different story, because we already had a pretty substantial decoration budget anyway. And really, the main thing here is making sure the trees are out front are fully lit, and then we'll have a pre-formed Christmas tree in here, that matches the decor. So the main thing is really the budget more than anything else, and I can get stuff with it.
When you did the electrical estimate for which island were you?
Well, that was for all 3 islands coming in,
Including the
Okay.
jungle.
including the jungle. And then for right here in the River Club Islands, there's already electric there. It's gonna cost between $600 to $1,500 to find that line, because we can't, they have to run it and try to find where it was plugged into,
I think
and
that would be worth it.
redo it.
to
But
find them.
the $28,000 to do those 3 islands, and then you have electric there.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Year
And I
round.
think we would want lighting in the third island anyway.
No.
Right.
I think that's,
It's too much. It was too much. But, okay, I think we're on the same page. That was really, I wanted to get on the same page because to Keith's point, I need to get off the dime and I'll just click the boxes. I just need to add a couple things in there. And to your point, Ken, we can change it. It's not going to be completely written in stone, so I'm sure.
So I have a favor. Can we circle back to the conversation about the police? Because
Yeah.
we had a
Oh, sorry.
situation, and this is maybe
Yeah.
something, Cheryl, you can bring up at a POA meeting, because I feel like this is an email that needs to come from the POA, not necessarily the CDD. Is we had a resident on Padova who ended up calling 911 because she had a snake in her patio.
Oh,
Are you
no.
kidding?
So maybe this is a good time to have the POA. It was a black snake, it's just a racer, but she ended up calling 911. So I think maybe what we can do is ask the POA to send something to the community to basically say,
She had a snake in her bed?
in her patio.
Oh, and
Just
it's
under
very-
one eye.
I could have sent my cat over. He's very good at
Yeah,
cats.
so I don't know if
Even my
that's,
dog would have taken care of that.
A lot of times they'll call the front gate
yeah, she didn't.
and, they're not really
Just call
equipped
that.
either to go out and remove snakes.
Yeah.
Everybody should own a small rake.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
had two of
That's all
them
you
here.
need.
just
Rubbermaid.
over, two
Oh,
black-
they slide rattler?
two black racers.
Oh, racers, yeah, so there's a,
Sweet.
there is a 6-foot rattler out in
Yeah,
the,
there is.
in the preserve. We've
And
seen it.
apparently some otters.
Yeah, did you see that?
Oh, I
No,
saw
but
them.
I really-
I saw them last,
Yeah.
I saw a couple months ago, the river otters, yeah.
Wow. There was a giant alligator this morning, like swimming right by the
Oh, it's
lookout.
huge.
Did you see him?
Oh, that's
He was
Mongo.
gigantic.
Oh, yeah, he's back, oh, I,
Mongos.
And then we digress, yeah.
So anyways, but yeah, if you could do that, Cheryl, I don't know if they
Yeah.
can send something out, just remind them that it really, the police are for emergency situations, not
Animal control.
snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Keith, I wanted to ask, do we know the timing on the sidewalks?
They've been doing them.
Oh, okay, they're working on it, okay.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. They've been shaving them down.
Okay.
We didn't, talking with, Rick, I don't think they did enough when they were shaving down, so he
Okay.
contacted, A&J, and they did have two new guys, and so they'll be back down to reshave,
Okay.
and then start the sidewalks replacing and the curbing that we've picked out to be re-cemented.
So I was gonna mention that too, but also I spoke to Keith and I sent Rick an email, he does answer me back about the manhole cover that that Rick was here telling us we're gonna go at 10 feet in each direction.
Yeah.
They went like
big.
3 feet, so I said, so I just emailed Rick, I said, we should either have them come back redo it, or we should get at least 75% of the money back, because they did nowhere near what we agreed
I
to
actually,
do.
when I came in for the first time in a long time, the other night, I thought there was like some utility work that had been done, because it's
Yeah.
such a small patch
Mhm.
that it was like, what
Yeah.
is that?
It is
And
a
I
very
realized
small
it was the
patch.
We
patch.
measured each one, and sent those measurements up to Rick. And I believe, I did that before I was sick, and I lost part of my memory when I was sick. But he said that was, the sizes were basically within the scope of what he had sent to them, or they sent back. I think we need to hear it.
This is what he answered back. He
But
said,
riding over them, pretty good.
Yeah,
well, they're
Yeah,
okay,
they're
but he told us 10 feet in each direction.
I know what he said.
Now he's saying that he had a conversation with the vendor, and the vendor proposed 7 feet. Based upon the measures that Keith and Dan did, it appears that we had an average of a 9 by 9 for the repair, which exceeded the contract amount, which again, this is why I don't like Rick's verbal nonsense, nothing in writing. He told us specifically 10 feet in each direction. That's a 20-foot patch. Now he's saying it's supposed to be 9 feet total. I would not have agreed to pay that much money.
He did say 10 feet.
He said 10 feet in each direction. So this is on him.
What does the contract say?
He said he agreed with he agreed with 7 feet in each direction. So that's why.
Even that would be better than what it looks like.
Yeah, but
I might have the contract.
he said,
Well, that's fine. If the contract, if the pricing is
but
based
that's
on
not what
7 feet,
but that's not what we agreed to. He told us 10 feet in each direction.
I know what he said. But if subsequently, he and the contractor agreed to 7, and the contract is based on 7.
But it's Rick's fault then, because we approved 10 and he changed it on us without our approval. So I'm
Did
trying.
we approve the 10, or did we approve a price?
We
We approved the price.
We approved the price
Yeah, we've
based
never
based
approved,
upon 10 feet in each direction.
so if the contract was adjusted for
That's what we need to know.
that's what we need to know.
What are we paying
Yes.
for?
Because I can't imagine, yeah,
Because whatever it is, seems fine.
Well,
It's just a matter of what are we paying for?
right.
I'll bring that up to Rick.
yeah, because that annoys me, he tells you one thing, you get something else, there's no conversation with us about that, because we approved 10 feet, and he went back and said.
No, we approved
No,
a
no.
contract, a price.
based upon 10 feet in each direction.
And so we've got to wait and see if the
We don't know
contractors-
what it's based on. We
Right.
don't know what the price is based on.
Right, we don't know what the price is based on.
He told us what.
This
I
is
know
one of the,
what he
one of the,
said.
but one of the problems, one of the other things that I'm not crazy about with Rick is that I only have the signature page. He just sends a signature page for
Oh,
signature and not the whole
not the whole
contract.
contract.
And he said, he agreed that the vendor's proposal indicated 7 feet. Well, that's not what he told us.
Keith, can you get a copy of the contract from Mike?
I just brought it down here to get
I
it.
mean, this is,
Thanks.
this is not the first time that he's told us one thing, we've gotten something else, and we keep paying for
I don't know what we're
Cadillacs and
paying
keep
for.
on getting Volkswagens.
Well, why
Don't
don't
know.
you just make sure that he's prepared to talk about it at the board meeting in 2 weeks?
I'll get a contract. I'll get him
Thank you.
send down the contract as
Cool,
well.
thank you.
I think he looks out for our best interest, but we ought to
I think he
be,
tries,
know what
yeah.
we're getting, what we're paying for, and vice versa.
Okay. I wanted to, just a quick question for you. Ken, do you, I know we're doing the capital or reserves request form, like if we're doing a $30,000 repair at the club for AC or something. Are we doing the same thing on the CDD side for those forms?
For what?
When are we filling out a form for,
Yeah, like the fence. I got a CapEx form.
oh, okay, got it, okay.
It's all
I wasn't, I
capital
realized I
or
wasn't sure.
reserve spending.
Okay, got it, perfect.
Yeah, I filled one out last week. for you.
Have we
Got
heard
it.
from the fence? I'm sorry, I'm jumping.
That's all right, I'm done.
Have we heard from the fence guys yet? No? Okay. Because I do know that there were contract
Yeah, there was an issue with
Andy's.
with the contract, and they weren't happy with the contract, and so it's kind of been a back and forth with Belinda and the lady and Andy.
So we don't have a final contract yet?
No.
Okay, so chances of that getting done in May now is a little bit more unlikely because the closure's 2 weeks away, so probably looking at July's, for instance.
Could be. Yeah.
Okay.
When did it start getting painted?
Good question. I feel like we've been pushed off, and they were paid for the 3, and then they've received their upfront money for the other ones. They've received that last week. And that's kind of what they were afraid of or waiting on, is for that money up front before they made a contract. So before I left Friday, I called, didn't get an answer. So today, hopefully I'll have an answer and I'll be able to bring you up to date on
Because
when.
that's the valley monument has to be repainted or repaired, because that, I mentioned,
Right.
a lot of paint is peeled off.
Did you see the lift stations?
Yeah, they look great.
And they look better.
Yeah,
May I? I did something really, it was interesting and it really shocked me. Friday, I was at Cindy's house and standing in their garage watching, and just happened, we were talking about solicitors getting on the property. And we were watching the corner, Padova and Montaluna. It really is shocking. You want to go out and watch for a half hour, park your cart up the road a little bit and watch that intersection. It'll scare you to death.
I ride my bike through that intersection. It scares me every time I go up on the sidewalk now.
It
Because I'm like,
frightened me just standing there watching the amount of people. And that was not during peak time. That was, later in the afternoon, but it'll open your eyes and you'll say, how come we don't have the
Stop sign.
Yeah.
With speeding and blowing the stop sign.
Both.
both? I mean, they go around those bumps and they're blowing through it. They don't stop. I was amazed. I know that, that it happens, but I didn't know that it was to the magnitude of what I saw. Go out and just sit for 15, 20 minutes and watch, and you'll have a whole different perspective of speed bumps and calling the police and wanting, somebody in here with a radar gun and those type of things. Because I'm surprised that we haven't had more people injured in those locations.
My recommendation would be to take those 3 speed bumps and extend them completely across. So there's, because people are literally on their golf carts, full speed, coming into the intersection, going around the speed bumps without any regard to what's happening with oncoming traffic or anything like that. And so, thank you for saying it. I certainly don't want to be the one, because I live at that corner, saying it. But I also don't want a car or a golf cart sitting in my front yard at some point because of what's happening at that intersection. And when he says speeding, he doesn't mean rolling through the intersection at 15 miles an hour. It's a complete blow at 30 miles an hour.
At least.
Yeah. So my recommendation would be to take speed bumps, put them completely across there, leaving a 12-inch gap on either side by the curb. So the bicycles, if they wanted to, could get through. That would absolutely 100% solve the issue at that intersection. The
Well,
volume that happens.
It'll solve the going around it,
Yes,
not stopping. They may slow down a little bit now
yeah.
because of the speed bumps, but they're not stopping and they're blowing right up through.
It's so weird that that intersection, as opposed to any other intersection in this community, is.
Padova and Benito is just as bad,
Yeah,
I mean-
but
just as bad.
It's a little bit better with the bumps, but not, I mean, that Padova Montaluna one, I mean, Padova Montaluna one is terrible.
Could you make the bumps bigger?
They're pretty big now.
They're
I mean,
pretty
Geez
sturdy.
Louise.
Bob Rafato's email, I mean, he had a valid point with what he said with, we're having too many speed bumps. I'm starting to agree with that. I'm not saying, I think we need to start thinking about, rather than keep on spending all these money for speed bumps, we need to think about somehow the next solution of some kind of, I mean, and it's up to the POA ultimately, instead of a finding mechanism, is if we can't bring the police in here.
We can, it just costs money.
It would just cost us money.
It's costing us money to put in speed bumps. And it looks like we have a speed bump community versus people still nuts. But if people started really, if we were up to the POA to find people and or the police to start finding people, I mean, I'd be happy to pay whatever it is to get people to start behaving properly. So if it costs the CDD $50,000 to pay the police to come in here, I'd be up for that. If we want to make sure people get hit for blowing stop signs, hit for speeding, driving around the speed bumps, reckless driving, and all those other things, it would be worth it. Because,
So what do we want to do with it?
I don't
I
know. I
think
just
that-
don't know what we can,
Well, first, we can't do anything in the workshop.
No, I was just
There's-
curious but yeah.
There's
I
equipment
need to
that,
think.
that ties to Techway
But it's up to the POA to do something about it.
that it's expensive, but it.
I can
we-
certainly
we-
bring
We
it
talked
up.
to the guy down in one of the communities we
Yeah.
visited, and they paid for their equipment in less than a
So
year.
what was the name of it? It was TechWave, wasn't it?
Oh,
It was part of
no,
TechWave.
it's not Trafficologics, I've got all this stuff at home.
So it's in that stuff, because
Yeah.
okay.
But the other problem is though, it doesn't stop Uber Eats and it doesn't stop Amazon and those people. That's, it's.
We have to have all new set of rule changes that whatever guest the resident has coming in here, or whoever, vendor, whatever, that resident is responsible for that. No, it is, it's written in the declarations that way for the POA, it is.
It is, I think it is.
They are, you as a resident are 100% responsible.
It's
Well,
true
you can
for a
sign a
vendor that
waiver.
comes to
But
your
it's the
house.
POA who actually has to issue the ticket.
Correct. That's the problem, and
No.
I will bring up
So-
to the POA what they are considering, if anything, for traffic control. And I will point
Well-
out that we've done what we can with speed.
This
limits,
new technology it's so good that when it detects a speeder, all right, it automatically spits out the fine on a piece of paper with that on there. And all the POA has to do is put it in an envelope and send it out. And it's whatever your fine wants to be.
Which product is
Traffic
this?
logics.
I think it's Traffic Logic or something. It's one of those, but it goes with our system and it's, is it pricey?
Yes.
Yes.
And then somehow, I don't know if the POA can then contribute money to the CDD at the end of the year to help us pay
So
for it.
could we have Traffic Logics make a presentation on it? I don't know, or get,
Well,
is there
how
some?
would this work? Would we buy it and they enforce it?
Yes.
That's what happened with the traffic.
Well, they
Can
could
we
buy it, they
recoup
could
the
buy
cost
it
of
too.
the
That's what
equipment
this is
from the
about.
fines, and then everything after that, the POA gets?
I mean, they could buy it
I think we
also.
should have a presentation.
I mean, the POA can buy
And
it
we should
also. I mean,
invite the
they,
POA
They can, I don't know if they wanna shell out the money ahead of time.
So what do you
I
think,
know, but we should, I mean,
what do you think
they're
about what
expecting
Cheryl just said? We invite them to make a presentation and we also invite the POA. Because I think
POA
the
leaders
POA
should
was,
sit in.
so I think,
Yeah, but
and
I
we'll
mean,
do it for sometime in May or.
maybe June.
I don't know if they're.
It is.
The
you
Canadian
would have to,
company,
the POA would have to notice
That
it.
kind of sounds right.
The
but,
POA would have to notice it, so you have to give them time.
So June, okay.
June.
So, do you want to talk to them?
I'll talk to them, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for bringing this up, Keith. Yeah, I forgot all about that. It was quite the show.
It really,
Because,
it opened my eyes up.
You know, maybe we just have to do things differently because it's,
There's speed bumps, I mean,
no, I take the point. Look, I take.
they're also into the housing.
Yeah.
But, okay, so, all right, I don't want to.
Yeah,
First
because it's
meeting-
12:15.
First
so-
meeting in June and I still have to talk about this.
Yes.
Yeah,
just wanna
like,
So
say
the
that
15th
they-
of June?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to give them a date so they can notice if they,
It might
But
have to
thank
be
you
a
for bringing
Zoom
that up.
presentation.
that's fine.
Are we ready for landscaping?
I'm ready.
All right, just, I sent you, this is kind of a culmination of a number of emails back and forth, so I shortened it, which is why I put that summarized with most current content, because otherwise you'd have 18 pages. But the landscape committee looked at this while Cindy was there at their meeting last week. Your questions were in the second email here, which is, can we plant different grass in a large roundabout?
Yes.
I figured he would not think that was a great idea because we'd have the same problem we have back here, which is the mowers are gonna bring other grass in anyways. He removed the tree from the circle right in front of the club here because of the issue with the disease. The big issue here is the proposed theme tree, red cedar. Everybody was concerned about the red cedar and this is a really cool tree. I was on the internet looking at all different specimens of this tiny tower, the Italian cypress. It's really a cool looking tree. And it can grow to 25 feet, but it's so slow growing that it's not gonna be up there where the palms are, where it's getting blown over all the time, but it's a nice statement tree. So everybody loved that tree.
You need them in groupings, right?
Yeah, they are in
Yeah.
groupings. All of them are in groupings, they're not singular. And then the last one was the old palms, which I said were split. And I wanted him to address and he believes they're fine as they are. So the landscape committee went through all of this and would like to propose and recommend that we move forward with the design as he proposed with all the changes that have been made. And what I would like to do is come back at the next meeting with a formal agenda item and go over the final plan again. So everybody can see what it is with all of these changes. And then I need to also get his estimate is 140,000, which is not bad considering all the trees that we have in there.
I mean, I would need. My problem is nothing here gets maintained. And the stuff that gets put in, what size, I really need to know what size of stuff we're getting in and when it's gonna look like this. Because I don't wanna have to, to spend $140,000, have to wait 6 years.
That will be in the final proposal. It'll come with gallon sizes and height, like the red cedars here. She's given you they're 24-inch box, 9 to 10 feet already.
Okay.
So, and that will happen with all the big specimen trees, especially. And even with I think the flowers that got planted are too small. And he said that's what was available. I think that had I known they were going to be that small, I would have said, then let's just wait
Right.
until you have bigger plants after the freeze, after the weather. Because they are small, they're taking forever to grow. But On this particular proposal, if you remember the back sheet on the last architectural proposal, it had actual sizes and pot
Okay.
sizes.
Mhm.
And that's what I want to get to. I want to get that proposal so that
Right.
we have everything.
You're gonna have to spend a little more.
Exactly. I wouldn't mind spending more to
Bigger
get,
sign.
yeah.
And I just also want to make sure things are actually going to be able to be seen and be maintained. Like, I mean, I know there's a lot of detail into the circle over here,
Mhm.
but if you have all this shrubbery around it, are you going to see it? Even though it's got that little open area, are you really going to see anything in that center? I don't know what's in there. So, I mean, I just want to make sure that, it's great looking down from above, but I want to know, what is this going to look like from the street?
And
Am I
he
gonna
can
see
do
any of
that. He can do those proposals with the streetscape, and I will have him do that. He's not gonna be able to come to the next meeting. I just wanna get
Okay,
started.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
So,
Okay.
My
and
only,
yeah.
my only question, because I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. Do we still want a lot of annuals? I mean, there's a cost, I mean,
a lot of this one
we're
is
spending
not.
$20,000-$30,000 a year replacing those annuals.
And they never look
That's a
good.
good point.
No, they look good when they put them in.
When they put them in.
Yeah.
But from
yeah,
that, we
like
can tell,
that.
you know, for some
We
reason,
can
when I
move
grow,
away from annuals.
nothing here grows right. And you go to other communities that have annuals that look beautiful. Things here just don't look right. I don't know why. And like, even I was just driving in today, like, so we spent $28,000 or so on the magnolias out here. They're all dead. I mean, not horrible now. They look that worse. And they're supposed to be under warranty. So why are we living with this? And even though we're thinking about replacing them at some point, why are we sitting with them the way they're, the condition they're in?
Those should really be moved somewhere else.
Well,
And you know what, if we
they're-
fertilize them,
They're horrible looking now, but I don't want them moved anymore.
they're not gonna look better.
That's what I'm saying, so that they should be replaced under warranty. And at least then, when we decide to move them in a year or whatever, then we have live trees to move. Or they give us $28,000 back, because that's what it costs us to put them in. I'm just tired of, we
Well,
can't
so
keep on just throwing money
Now, I
at
will say,
vendors.
on Juniper, for this architect thing that they did last, they have replaced everything. They're replacing everything that didn't make it. And I think they've done a pretty good job on that. I mean, that is what they proposed. They planted what they proposed, pot sizes and everything. This, I would presume, would follow the same. The ones we're having trouble with is the daily maintenance stuff. That doesn't involve an architect. That is, we're gonna plant your annuals for you. I didn't know they were coming in 2-inch pots.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
and then when I question him, he goes, that's all that's available because of the freeze. But then I drive around, and I think these other communities got bigger plants.
Right.
So,
And just because I tell you to do something, it's your responsibility to come back to us and say, well, this is what I can get. Do you really want me to do this? And, then
Right.
we need to have feedback.
so actually, one of my plans, and you all know I just got back on Friday, and I am on the right time zone, so I can be clear at this point. But what I would like to do is, and I'm gonna talk to Keith about this afterwards, is I want to spend a few hours with Sergio this week, because I want to drive around and talk about the roundabouts, the mulch, the plantings, all of that, and try and get clear on some of the stuff that's going on. So I will
Mulch.
also do that.
Mulch was, I went out and we measured mulch. I talked with the.
Before we
gentleman-
get off on that though, I have some feedback, if that's okay, just before the mulch chat. Although I like the trees, I'm concerned that they're so out of scale with everything that's there. I'm afraid they're gonna look like little toothpicks.
The tiny towers?
Yeah. 8 foot, that's what the email says. They're gonna be 8 feet.
They're 9 to 10 feet in the email, they're 9 to 10.
So my concern is it's gonna look funny. They're gonna be like this little tick, tick, tick.
Well, that's
So
why I want to see
problem-
streets, that's why I want to see a streetscape.
The problem that they had with going with the other ones, and Cheryl, if I'm overstepping, please shut me up.
No.
Is there was a concern about how, if you went with something taller, like the regular cedars that were suggested, that they would have to be tied and somehow
Well,
stabilized
They
at some
would
point.
be, and I'm going somewhere with this, because I've actually looked into this pretty extensively and talked to Truman, because I wanted something like this at my house, and Truman was like, ugh. So he was discouraging, let me put it that way, but it's not a hill I'm willing necessarily to die on. I just wanted to bring it up. Just throwing it out there. I wanted to throw out there, I have to tell you, I'm really concerned about putting probably a $25,000 tree, I'm guessing, a triple Sylvester at the end of that island, because the trunks are gonna grow outward, and I can see it
Which
getting,
island are you talking about? The one after the guardhouse?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
because that's gonna get hit by a truck, and that's gonna be the end of it. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna grow like this. So, right, it's gonna grow like this, that's how they grow. So I can see a truck going by and bang.
Yeah, you can't.
And that's the end of it.
You can't put a Sylvester in that center. It's not wide enough.
I think for the amount of money we have left, I'm not a fan of these expensive, triple Sylvesters. I'm just not.
The triple Sylvester after the guardhouse, that was kind of an afterthought on his last plan.
I think it's
That
gonna
wasn't
get hit
in
by
the
a truck.
initial, and I'm okay with taking that
Yeah.
one out. I do like the triple Sylvester out here in the big roundabout, because
I think we need some, I agree.
you think we need something.
Okay, that's fine.
That
It's not-
to me
it's-
needs to be a $25,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's,
Yes.
Yeah.
That
yes,
needs to
I
be-
don't disagree with you
But
there.
I
I was worried
will
about-
tell him to take out the
And
one
can we
past the
please get
guardhouse.
rid of any Christmas palms anywhere on district property? They belong at the Circle K. They don't belong on our property, whether it's at the River Club or at the, they're little, that's a parking lot palm,
I will talk to him about that.
just my personal view. And I wanted to ask, I'm a little worried about bougainvilleas, because if they're not maintaining what we
Yeah.
have.
Oh, no, we can't do that.
But there's 31 bougainvilleas.
No, they never.
They're all in the front.
Yeah, they're all in the front, and so they have to, boogies are heavy feeders. I'm kind of a plant person. Boogies are heavy feeders, and they get a lot of pests.
And have to put in a lot of water. And they do a lot of maintenance. I think,
But I'm
again,
looking for a recommendation, and I'll tell him to pull them.
I don't know what to go back, I don't know, I can't recommend, all I know is everything here is not maintained.
The yellow dwarf, is it Alamanda? They're like a little yellow trumpet flower. I think it's dwarf Alamanda. I think those are something we could think about. I love boogies, don't get me wrong, but I'm constantly tending to mine in the front of my house.
Yellow dwarf.
Alamanda. I think it's Alamanda.
Yeah, I mean, we just need something that is a little bit,
So
that's
just,
pretty looking, but let's make this, because again, it's, things
Well,
get
I can also ask him
overgrown.
about, here's the problem with that. This community has always wanted annuals for the pop of color. You're never gonna get that pop of color with
no.
non-annuals.
Correct.
So we're trying to decrease the number of areas we have annuals in. That would be my goal
Right.
as we continue through this. Like, I don't know that we need annuals out here. I think annuals in the front, but they need to be bigger pot size and they need to be,
Yeah.
but I think annuals in the front is just fine. I don't think we need that.
Yeah, we don't need them, no, we don't need them, and you got 18 monuments, but,
I'm okay with that.
and then, because what I would, and I don't know, the committee may be working on this, but I'm hoping there's a little bit of money left over for the rest of the River Club, because,
Well, there is,
Okay.
that leaves almost 200,000.
okay.
Yeah.
And what I was gonna suggest, I mentioned it to Keith with the black olives, we've got those two pieces of property, which I guess maybe we'll talk about at the next board meeting. We got the nasty email from the guy.
Benita, the
Loop.
loop, yeah.
I'm wondering the following, I don't remember how many there are, I think there's 4 or 5 between the two islands. If we move them like 2 to one piece of property and 3 to the other, because it's actually those are tiny pieces of property.
They are very small pieces.
Would it need less irrigation?
Oh.
Right, because you've got the canopy of the tree. So my question is, could we move those trees to those pieces of property?
It would actually be
No.
a good place to move them because we can't figure out where to move.
And maybe the palms,
Trees
maybe
are
the
gonna die,
Christmas
it's not gonna
palms.
get into water.
No, we still have to irrigate that.
Yeah.
We still have to irrigate
Still
those.
needs to
But maybe it would be less
if you're gonna-
involved. I'm just throwing it out
If you're
there.
gonna irrigate those areas, you might as well just put the
And you guys
irrigation in.
didn't approve, just for my clarification, you guys did not approve that irrigation last time because you thought it was too high?
I
Or what
personally,
happened?
That's what I thought.
I'm just looking for insight.
$2,600 a lot, I thought was grossly excessive.
I mean, if you think about what they have to do, because they have to run the lines and power and all that stuff new control boxes, it's really not that bad.
I didn't think it was that.
And we can't run off, and, I spoke to Keith about this, we can't run off of the people's houses, because it's private property
Well,
versus
so
CDD.
if we're gonna do it, and if we're gonna do it, then my suggestion would be if we could rehome the black olives and make it look like something other than green grass, then I think, to me, there's value in spending the money on the irrigation. It's just my only thought. I'm not trying to be,
But you guys spend money in
difficult.
irrigation anyway.
it just sounded like a lot of money to me, that's
Yeah,
what, it
that's
sounded
it,
like,
yeah.
because, I'm so sorry,
It's,
keep wanting to
it's
talk
not,
about
it's
homes,
not
but-
cheap, it's not cheap, but it is.
Okay,
it
no,
is-
look, I hear you, and
Yeah.
because when I look at, the two other areas beyond Valenza Loop that we've been
Well,
asked,
when we do those two areas,
Yeah.
if that's what,
there's tiny,
we're gonna get calls
Mhm.
to do
that's the problem.
the other areas that don't
Yeah, we
have
got the
irrigation.
lake.
That's my question, where else, do we have like on the Padova stretch? Off of Padova where it ends, do we have, is that
We have a
irrigated?
lot of them.
No,
Oh, I thought that was.
We have a lot of
irrigated.
areas. We have areas off of Savona and Cipriani. I
There
know
are-
because we rented near one.
There's an
They're
area
everywhere.
between the golf cart path, on Padova and Tiziano that is not irrigated at all. It's got a bunch of leaning oak trees
And
and.
never been irrigated.
so just
They have never
be
been
cognizant of when we do that, we're gonna
Well,
get calls on those other
When I
areas.
brought this up, I thought it was because we don't irrigate, I thought it got denied because we don't irrigate any of the other areas, but I wasn't sure, which is why.
Well, there's also a
yeah.
difference, there's also a difference.
That wasn't
I mean,
mine though.
the question is also, are there any houses affected by some of those other areas?
Well, so that's a great question, which is why I
Yes.
went back to two areas that we're currently talking about. There's the one on Avellini, and then there's the perpetual mess that we have on the Medici berm. I was over there last week. It looks terrible.
So does across the street on
And
Padova
I'm
though,
thinking,
at
so
this area.
I'm looking at this and saying,
The homes look at
so we're
that.
gonna spend $5,200 on this, and I get it, I understand where the homeowner's coming from, but
Is this,
That's
this
not
been planted? No.
They haven't put the
Is that
sod out there
Avellini
yet.
or is that
They haven't
Medici?
put the sod in yet. This
No,
is
but
Medici,
they're-
they fixed the irrigation, but some of this is county. We cannot do anything.
But that's
about
inside
that.
the fence.
This is not inside the.
Sure.
Yeah, it's inside the fence.
The
I was
fence
up
is
there
back
too.
there.
It's
That's
inside the
right.
Are you
fence.
talking about this area?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about these horrible cardboard palms
And
that are tiny, and all I'm saying is, in my head, dropping $5,200 on this, but leaving this area that's looked like,
well, that's
this.
not done yet. I mean, they are still
Right.
working on it.
but we need more plants. So I'm just saying,
And
the shoemaker has many children and they were all unshod.
And this is Avellini, and so
Yes.
this is ours.
Well, if this is right, our property line actually goes up under their eave.
Oh, that's not right. Because I think this is our property line right here.
You can look at the
Our property line is
backflow.
here, so
Yeah.
the
The
green
backflow
is theirs.
there is the middle of of the property.
But the backflow line is over here, so that's the.
That's the-
Yeah, that's
Right
the
there.
property line.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
right.
Yeah, so I think this
Yeah.
is off.
Yeah.
I think the green is
Could
off.
be,
Yeah.
could be,
Yes.
could be.
Okay. that's
Anyway,
what I
it
wanted
was
to see.
my
Thank
only
you.
my way of saying,
But it doesn't matter.
I don't have
We're
it.
gonna redo our little
Okay.
drive.
So I do have some, I've got some quotes coming from Sergio for sod there and sod behind 109 Montaluna.
You can't sod it if there's no irrigation.
Why would you sod it if there's no irrigation?
Exactly.
Well, they're gonna have to pay, the homeowner there will have to irrigate or to turn their heads and help do that.
I think that would be kind of a waste of money to put sod in there, frankly.
I-
I don't know. Let's talk about it. We need to spend a few
We can go
hours
take a
together.
look, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you do
I
your
would-
driver.
I would get the
Could
homeowners,
you take a look at Pissarro on the
okay,
Welcome Center
if
side?
they will
They
irrigate it
mulch,
if you do
but I
that.
think
Yeah.
that should all be sod.
Otherwise, it'll just
Can you
go down.
take a look at that?
Yeah, I mean, if a
Let me know.
homeowner's not gonna have cooperate
There's
with
no
it, I
plants,
mean, then,
yeah.
yeah.
It's on Pissarro, it's right by the Welcome
Okay.
Center. Thank
Okay,
you.
so, sorry to have somebody.
Okay, Keith, you got to my mulch.
Leave a quarter up.
Okay, all right, so Ken has 4 more minutes left.
Okay.
No, I got 10 more.
Oh, that's fast. You're right, 10 more minutes.
Keith,
13.
I just have a document.
Mulch.
Mulch. So we measured, I wasn't satisfied with the depth of the mulch. And there was a couple areas missed, so they're coming back. He's gonna add a bunch of mulch and come back in and get it back to the thickness that we should have. And at no cost. That's on their
Where is he
dime.
gonna add that?
Well, different areas like the buffers going down Veneto, those areas around the trees. There's some areas up in here that need it more. Mostly the buffers, and then there's we call it the park out behind, where it's the golf, where it says bag drop. There's a sign there at the golf course.
Yeah.
Behind those houses there's kind of a little park area back in there that they didn't get the mulch in there like they usually do. So they'll be back with more mulch, and they're very easy to work with. And being flung, well, that's how they do it. And so, but when you do it like that, you get pretty thin. So that's why we measured and called them up and said, hey, an inch isn't enough. So.
All right. Last but not least, I guess, financials, 4D.
Yeah, I guess that was me. We only have 10 minutes, you said, and you have to leave?
I do, I mean, you can,
Yeah.
you guys can stay.
I'm just looking at the numbers and I'm concerned. The first 3 months of this fiscal year, FME revenue was actually higher than last year by 2.5%. This past quarter, Q2, sales are down about 5% from last year.
Yeah.
So, so it's overall about a 10% overall for the 6 months, we have a 10% revenue decline. If you then add in the fact that we added Saturday night dinner, we went back to brunch, comp sales are down even lower than that. If you just go to basic operations, because, you can always add, if you open Monday, Tuesday, and Sunday night, yeah, revenue will go up. But it's not, when you start going comp sales, dining, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, lunch, whatever, tiki, we've added hours, sales are down. You take out Saturday night, you take out brunch, the sales are down even further. So I don't know why we're down so much, but the trend is not
Is
good.
it covers or
Yeah,
dollars?
but I know you
Both.
can't
Both covers and
100% depend on covers, but covers are down
Yeah.
like 13%.
Yeah, so it's both, it's covers and it's covers, sales, food is down, booze is up. I'm worried that once we start losing the snowbirds, who are really the ones doing more of the drinking, because we live here all year long, we don't drink, we have to live here, it's not a party all year long. I'm worried about that. We have a big budget in there for revenue. I don't see us hitting, I'm looking closer to 850. We did 965 last year. I think we're gonna be 850. 900 would be wonderful.
I'll take
I
the
think we're gonna be
over.
close to 850.
I'll take the over. Especially when you look at the financials, and I see what you're looking at, and it made me skeptical at first too, but when I look at a couple things like Tiki was closed for a week for the bee issue. We were $10,000 behind in Valentine's Day because we didn't do club seating. So even if you just add the Tiki for a week and the Valentine's Day, you more than make up. The budget numbers, I agree with you 110%.
Yeah.
Unreasonable,
Yes.
Yes.
not,
Yeah, but
forget the budget numbers,
Yeah,
but
forget them.
you say we won't do 900, I'll take 3 to 1 for 20 up with.
Well, it depends on how many events you have, but if you throw a lot of events in there, you will, but I'm
Yeah.
talking basic operation, comp for comp, we're down 15% from last year.
But
It's-
total expenses are also,
Oh, I'm talking about revenue, yeah. Expenses should be down because we have Julie's alleged,
yeah.
we have Julie's alleged $40,000 to $60,000 a year not in here. So that alone is a big number in expenses. Then we know we had a lot of mismanagement with labor by having 9 people for breakfast when we had 16, night service, in front of house, when we had 50 covers. So that should be straightened out too, but we also don't have the burden in there. So there should be a lot of reasons that expenses should be done considerably.
Get the higher insurance costs.
At the higher insurance costs, yeah.
So we've got revenue issues, and the expenses, a lot of the expenses that we took out of there. I'm just nervous about where we're going as a trend, and especially if we're thinking about going to do this La Sala, which is gonna be a lot of money, and the trends are not going in the right direction.
But I
worried
think
about
this
that.
sets the stage for what we're expecting as
Yes.
Greg looks at how he moves forward, but I also think not continually changing, is it brunch, is it not brunch, is it, I just think that stabilization is gonna come too. I still can't get it in my head that we're open on Saturday nights, or I would come up here.
Or I think
So-
about it
Right.
at 7:30.
I know.
Right,
Or-
right.
Or the different, and the multiple changes of the menus, and which menu is available in what location, I think
I
that's.
think once we
I think the
stabilize,
lots of
that
the
will
two.
help. Plus, if you have to remember too, that transition was not exactly
But that's what I'm saying, I looked at,
easy.
but if you looked at the first quarter, okay, so Vesta checked out of here mentally in July.
Mhm.
So July, August, September, the staff basically ran the place. Julie and Maddie left in September, so October, November, December, Greg was first here. Really, the staff ran the place. Sales were up. The last 3 months, sales were down.
But you say sales are up, we haven't gotten to October, November, December.
I'm talking compared to last year.
No, I'm surprised that starting with a new staff, new management team, new everybody, that we're even in the same zip code as a company that was here for 6 years.
But why, but
And I'm
but the first 3 months, you were up. It's only the last 3 months, we're down. So you
Well,
would expect,
yeah,
you would
you're saying
expect the
we're
chaos,
possible.
you'd expect total chaos in the first 3 months.
No, pause for 1 second, because you said the last 3 months we were down. I just handed out the revenue from March 31st to 31st, and it looks like we were up by 3,000.
I'm talking the quarter.
I'm talking about the last
So
month.
it's going, yeah, I mean, I think we just need more time to look at this. I appreciate your
Yeah.
comments, Rich, but I think it's a concern.
It's something to
But
look
we
at,
need
for
to
sure.
continue to watch it and see where we're going.
I mean, I think that's why I sent out a lot of emails, and I've, so far, Byron, we stopped looking this, I mean, we pretty much, we haven't spoken about this yet per se, all of this, but the past, we've been talking about numbers last year. The first 6 months of the year represent 2/3 of our sales. The last 6 months represent another third.
Yeah.
You take off those comps, so Saturday night is gonna falter, brunch is not gonna be that much. If you just add the comp numbers, and like I said, based upon what we're for the first 6, like I said, it's showing closer to 850. And I'm concerned by
And I
that.
understand your concern, but if they're controlling expenses in the same, that in accordance with revenue, then I think we're gonna be okay. And then our next full year will be a year where we can actually focus on growth.
And I think,
And what are people responding to? Because it's not only, I mean, when staff's unhappy, people don't come also.
right.
So there's just so many issues there
I agree.
that I think are settling.
Totally agree with that, but I think some of the changes that have been done, that have occurred with the different menus, the salad menu, dining menu, the tiki menu, I think those are some
you
considerations.
don't know that. Rich, you don't know that.
We
You're
don't.
speculating. Nobody knows. I personally think it's possible that the economy is tight and people aren't spending as much. It's possible that that's the case, but no.
Inflation certainly affects the usage.
I think we need to be, I think one of the biggest thing that concerns me looking at the budget is I think that we need to be very careful with how aggressive we get on our sales targets, because that impacts how much money we're collecting through the assessment. Because if we leave ourselves short, we leave ourselves short.
Right.
And we've
Right.
literally, we're in a Tesla and it's 28 degrees and we're 300 miles from where we gotta go. So I think looking forward is what I'm trying to say is probably, from here anyway, the most important thing.
But I'm just saying the trends are
Fair enough,
in the wrong direction.
fair enough,
It's a reason.
fair enough.
And I'm concerned by
Yes.
that, and I just want to make everybody
Don't
cognizant.
disagree.
Because, I mean, for the last 3 years, I mean, since I moved in here, and I've been, and I started coming up and having the conversation and would say that we're gonna miss targets, I've been pretty close for the last 3
Yeah.
years. So I hope I'm wrong.
It looks like our net operating income is.
Well, we're expecting a lot of,
But you're
I'm just-
talking about the F&B subsidy, not the
Right.
overall
Correct,
assessment, because
correct.
this is one thing, people get very confused, it's just a piece of feedback I'm gonna give you. The average person in the community thinks when you're talking about the subsidy, they understand it as the assessment. When you
Right.
talk about reducing the subsidy,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're talking about that as a percentage of the overall assessment, even if you
No,
reduce the
it's
subsidy by
small.
20%,
I agree.
it's almost a rounding error on the
Well,
assessment.
it's not that much, it's not a really rounding error, but it's,
If we reduce it by 150,000 over the total assessment, it's
well,
not a big number.
it should have been, I think it should be $300,000.
I don't disagree, but I think it's the management of it rather than the overall absolute figure, which I think you probably agree with. Because if revenues are up, the subsidy's gonna be up.
Not necessarily.
No, for every dollar you spend, it costs you
Yes.
$1.10 to run the
That's
business.
But ultimately, it's the overall.
It is true.
I don't agree with that.
But regardless of that, it's,
I
we have to look at.
I ran a business, I grew my
But
business.
this isn't,
this
but
isn't
this
a
isn't a
business.
business.
I know that,
This is not a
I
business.
get that, but just because, I know we're gonna
I
have a
know where you're
subsidy.
coming from.
I know we're
But
gonna, I
it's
know we're
not
gonna have a subsidy, but like you said, Ken, if, in a business, you add more revenue, it doesn't, you don't lose money.
That's not necessarily the case.
You do.
On a smaller scale, but if you can increase revenue,
You can
No.
decrease the operating deficit by, instead of losing $1.40 for every dollar, you can lose $1.30. So you decrease your subsidy and your deficit, but you don't become more profitable. You lose money at a rate of 30 cents per dollar versus 40% of a dollar. That's all I'm saying.
Which is a good thing.
Right,
that's a good
because
thing.
it's really not about that margin. It's about how many people stay in the community and use the amenity, and use the subsidy,
And
and the
that's-
value of your home.
and
because
that's
we're running
also what I'm
more
looking
amenities.
at.
And I think
look
you're talking about, I think about prudence, which I agree with
Prudent-
500%.
Prudence,
We
and
need to be
also,
prudent.
we're here to try to make sure that we get as many people to utilize the facilities as possible.
Right.
And by switching to higher price menus, the revenue may stay the same, but you get half the people getting to enjoy it. I don't think that's the
Well,
right
here's where
direction.
I would disagree with you, because we can sell, well, we can put out a jar of peanut butter and a sleeve of saltines and, make money on that. But is that really gonna bring people in? I don't know. I think it's what brings people in.
But
No,
the
but-
interesting thing is,
but
the
that's
most
not- no, but
popular
that-
night here
but that's
is
what I'm
burger
saying.
night,
Yes,
which is $13.
Right.
and
Yes.
We don't make any money.
We don't make any money
Right.
on that.
But it's a good
But
amenity.
everybody loves it. So,
Right.
you know, that, I
Or the
think that's
fish
our
fry.
community.
Or the
That's
fish
our
fry.
community.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, let me ask you
And
this,
that's-
does inflation and the economy have an effect on the gross revenue or the the usage?
Probably.
To some degree.
I
But
feel
that-
like we're a little bit more resistant to it, but there is a
we're
small
kind of in a
impact.
bubble.
And
Yeah,
that- but that's also-
there
but
is a
that's-
small
You'd be surprised.
impact.
But that's also, I've been advocating to have like early bird specials for the people
You're
who
right.
can't
You're
afford.
absolutely right.
That is exactly
You know,
correct.
But then that early bird special
I
they
have
can't
to go
afford is
with
gonna
that.
create more of a subsidy.
Well, and one last thing on this subject,
But we need to try it to see, but I'm not saying to give it away
Yeah,
but
Oh, yeah.
for the people who can't afford or,
so Rich, one last thing on this subject, Brian has raised very few prices. Although 100% of everything he buys
Okay.
has gone up in price.
yeah, I'm not
Brian
saying.
has raised menu prices extremely reluctantly and very minimally. I mean, we're talking like 5 to 8 items. But everything we buy is more expensive.
Yeah, and
And
I'm not,
that's part of the net operating.
and I'm not saying that burger, the burger and brew should go to $14.50 or something like that. I'm not.
It's at 15, it's been at
It's
15 for
15
8 months.
Yeah.
That's really one of the only things that changed the price. He went from 13 to 15, and we still run about a 65% cost of sales on it, even though the target margin is 48.
But we
But
get,
it's good participation.
no,
I have
we-
two
And we
things.
can execute.
Yeah,
I have two things.
just, okay.
Go ahead.
No,
No, go ahead.
no.
Go ahead.
No, it's not important. Go.
Looking at the budget, I just wanted to let everybody know what we decided to do with the instructors for the summer is not cut back on the number of classes like we have in the past. What we have asked is that when the instructors take their vacations, that their classes get canceled to recoup some of that gap. Now, I don't know if we're gonna get it all back, but that's fine. And then we will also keep a very close eye on the classes that don't have a high level of participation, and that'll be our decision if we need to cut back at some point. So I'm hoping to help stabilize any offset for the summer number of classes that we cut back using vacation time for the instructors. Okay?
For budget purposes, are we ever thinking about charging $1 or $2 or $3 for a class?
I don't think it'll make that much of a difference.
I mean, the total budget on the instructors is $48,000 for the year. But there's also other maintenance costs and things like that. So it costs, in order to keep that studio open and the fitness center open, about $75,000 a year. So it's a topic for conversation when the time comes.
If you charge $3, I guess, because I figured there were in season or you could,
How many unique users are there?
That's the one thing I needed to, yeah.
But I did it, we can get about 48, if you charge $3 a class, we can make 48,000.
Yeah.
But you're assuming that everybody who's coming for free is still gonna come and pay $3.
I'm just,
The other thing is you could talk about packaging them. Like, so I took a look at things from Sarasota National, and I did some studies from other areas. Trust me, every other place either doesn't offer classes or charges for classes.
Right.
So, and so you could bundle them, and you can say, we're gonna charge your account for, $100, and you can take as many classes as you want.
It's oftentimes
I don't know.
a
I don't know what the
membership
rate is.
classification. So if you want to be a fitness member, it's $20 a month or $50, or whatever that.
Right.
And it's unlimited, whatever you want.
We are truly the only community that offers classes for free.
Well, and you guys
And
know,
I'll tell you, I struggle with it.
but you guys know the context on that, because we used to charge $2. I was the chair of the old recreation committee,
Yeah.
which was FPAC and rackets, believe it or not, it was a lot of fun.
And
And we took away the $2 fee because it was not being applied.
okay, well, we'd have to do that. I mean, and
I think the $2 fee is tough to manage, that's my issue.
That was the
Yeah,
problem.
If you would do something like, if you wanna take fitness classes, it's $20 a month, unlimited.
right,
Right,
And then you only pay when you're here,
Right.
but you get to do whatever
right.
you want.
Exactly.
Something, anything.
I mean,
something along those
that's
lines.
pretty palatable.
Yeah.
100%. Same, you can do the same thing with fitness, you can do the same thing with tennis and pickleball, you can do the same thing with, if you want to be in that category. Or you could not do anything.
Let's not go beyond.
No, and the difference there is that's an infrastructure use
Look,
thing. I mean, this is.
Right.
People
Structural
my-
contractors,
community.
My
independent
opinion is
contractors.
this. You can't say to the people can't say, well, it's always been free. Well, quite honestly,
Yes.
it partially has been, but up until 2016, we were also being helped by the developer. And we have been trying to maintain this, and this is just another area that we need to look at. So that's what I have to say. So that's,
It would be nice to know how many unique users.
I can
there
pull that
are,
data.
Because, I mean,
Yeah.
Can I just ask one quick question? Over the years, has there been an incremental 2%, 3%, 5% increase to what people contribute every year to stay with inflation or everything else? I know there was an assessment with the hurricane, and I'm not even talking about an assessment, I'm just talking about a small incremental increase that every year, so then we don't get 10 years later and say we're 20% behind what we should be.
It's whatever our budget is. Our
Yeah.
budget is what drives the assessment.
Has the budget incorporated
Absolutely.
an annual increase?
Yeah, it does for labor, yes.
That was my question.
Yes, yeah, I think, I can check and see, do you remember what it was last year for the Gays
Not off the
Festival?
top of my head.
I think it was like almost $100,000 that the subsidy went up.
Well, I'm trying to, well, but I think it
That's
was,
really-
I have to go back and look.
That's-
What it
that's
was,
something.
because it was easier with Rosetta.
I was just running numbers, I'm not
Like,
saying.
you
that.
know, you get to
Yeah,
CPI,
right.
I think it was two
Rosetta
point
gets
seven.
All the
Yeah,
interesting to see how
everybody
that,
gets a
you know,
CPI.
that has worked over the years, because it's so much easier if it's 3%, 3%. And then you get 10 years later, and you got 30% increase, and you're not saying, hey,
Yeah.
this is a one-time,
Yeah.
hit you in the head.
Yeah, so,
You just need to look at your tax bills, that's all.
Yeah, exactly. I can look at some.
that's true, you're right.
Okay, thank you.
Are we?
That's all I wanted
Did
to
you have
say.
something else?
No, like I said, I'm just very concerned about the financials and the direction we're going.
Yeah,
And the usage, and,
well, I do think, what we've talked about in terms of, changes in the current summer and the hours and stuff, I think will help address.
well, that'll help expenses, it's only gonna reduce revenue even more.
Well, we'll see.
Boy, it has to, because, I mean,
It'll reduce revenue, but
I'm not, I'm talking, I'm only talking revenue, I'm not talking,
And I've seen the same thing, when I look at the financials, I
Yeah,
see
yeah.
that it's not where it was
Yeah.
last year, but I then go to the net income line,
That's
as
where I
long
go.
as we're managing expenses, and I figure, it's kind of like what Greg said about, he needed 6 months to try and figure out this community and what people wanted. I think next year, we do anticipate an increase, an increase in usage. Now, whether or not we budget it, and how we budget it is a whole different question, because you don't want to keep pushing it and then not being able to.
Not being able to hit it.
But, yeah,
And we're
Especially-
being recorded, and I'll still take the over and under on revenue for the year.
So just a quick note here, if I look at the F&B for March, right,
right,
year to date, we had a subsidy of about 198,000.
Yes.
Last year, the subsidy at this time was 276,000.
yes,
Or a positive variance of $78,000
yeah.
in the net subsidy.
Correct.
This year,
We're ahead of the
we
game
are
on the
ahead.
subsidy,
yeah.
even though our revenue
We
is
are ahead.
But
down.
but again, a lot of, it's better, it's
Yes.
better management of the labor, it's the burden,
Right,
and it is
right.
Julie's.
but you know,
60 grand, between Amazon and the other stuff, allegedly $60,000 a year, that's a big swing, that makes up a good portion of that variance right there.
but the other thing you have to think about is that we could really decrease the subsidy by not even being open.
Correct.
There you
So,
go.
Exactly.
there is a
Exactly.
very interesting balance
Right.
between.
We had a $130,000 contribution to reserves in COVID year because we were shut down.
Yeah.
For.
No, I get that, but I just want, but I don't want to keep on bringing revenue down and revenue down and revenue down.
No.
Because
You're
at
right.
some point, you're gonna lose money, because it's not, because we can't shut down, we still need to have an operation, because you still need staff, kitchen staff, back of house staff, and pay for
No, there's it's a teeter totter. Because you gotta find that right balance.
And, yeah, I'm just,
The revenue is only down 5% year to date. Year over year.
yeah, but it's down 5%, but it's down 10% in this quarter.
No, but you get, well.
Yeah.
You get into the summer months, it's gonna
Yeah.
be zero. Year to date, we're down 5%.
Are we done?
Right,
We're done.
but I'm saying, but Q2, we're down 10%.
I do like your idea.
Thank
So
you for
the-
locating the black olive trees to help with.
The trend's going, the trend's going down.
Figure out.
Yeah.
Question for you.
Yes.